The National Assembly invites Kenyans to participate in public hearings on the 2026-2027 budget estimates. Hearings will take place in 16 counties starting this morning over the next 3 days as Parliament seeks public views on government revenue and expenditure plans. According to Parliament, the budget aims to support job creation, income growth and economic expansion under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Kenyans can also submit a written memoranda to the National Assembly on or before May 25th this year. The impeachment case of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua resumes today, with the court set to hear further highlights of submissions by parties involved in the matter. Meanwhile, the Senate has opposed attempts to reopen questions surrounding the illness claims raised during the impeachment proceedings against Gachagua. The Senate argues that no sufficient medical evidence was presented before the chamber at the time of the hearing. All right, a very good morning, May the 13th. Karibu sana to TV47 Breakfast. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. A lot of discussions today, beginning with the end of the Africa Forward Summit.
All right, my name is Annie Odida. Karibu sana. This is TV47 Breakfast. Najua ishasemwa, lakini that is also the hashtag to use, TV47 Breakfast, across our social media platforms. Story ni yetu is also the hashtag you're going to use when you're tagging us. My handle on X is at Annie_Odida.
Mine is at Freddy Ndimuli. Now, one of the biggest talking points today is the end of the Africa Forward Summit, meaning traffic is back to normal in Nairobi. The roads, Parliament Road, Taifa Road, Harambe Avenue and City Hall Way that have remained closed to traffic for the past 3 days are now reopened. So enjoy yourself. Meanwhile, Gachagua amerudi kotini leo.
Yes.
So that's something else to talk about. Plus, public participation in as far as the budget estimates are concerned. We've been talking about the finance bill.
Yeah.
Na muliambiwa you have 2 weeks to present your memoranda. But now when it comes to the budget estimates, there are hearings across the country, 16 counties. And I think you should take part in that as well and say what you feel about the budget proposals.
Make an effort to take part in that. It's very, very crucial. June will be here in 30 minutes and you don't want to miss that. Today is World Cocktail Day. Nambiwa, just host something and you have a reason to have a cocktail today, at least. Yeah. Okay. It's International Hummus Day as well. It's an Egyptian meal, so you're being encouraged to also learn how to make that. And it's Sex Difference in Health Awareness Day today. Being a Wednesday, we will be talking matters of the heart later on the show, all right? We are asking you, are gender expectations killing love? TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X, TV47 Digital. Remember to use the hashtag niliwaambie TV47 Breakfast, hashtag story ni yetu.
Yes.
Are gender expectations killing love?
Yes, if I may, if that question may be directed to me, I think they are killing love, because one of the biggest expectations from one of the gender is economic empowerment. Money. That alone has killed a lot of affection, if you ask me.
What are men's expectations of women? Looking at it from a broader perspective, it doesn't have to be your opinion.
I think we're coming from a very patriarchal society, and we are transitioning to a more, well, let's say a situation where there's more parity. But there's those who are still stuck in the past, that authoritarian, male-dominant figure in the home. And I think that kind of expectation is creating some strain in some relationships. I don't know, but probably a lot when it comes to love has changed. We should accept some things.
You think you should erode traditional values?
There's a reason why we call them traditional. But a lot has changed. Yeah, even the way you dress now, you're not dressed the same way you used to dress. The men who would look at you and say, now that is not what I would agree to. Yeah. Na kama utavaa hivyo, hatutakaa na wewe.
Very, very, very interesting topic. So that is what we'll be talking about, all from 8:30 a.m. all the way to 10 a.m. But first, let's take a look at the state of the weather. All right, let's see how the weather's looking across the country. It's a rainy day in Nairobi and in areas along Kiambu. So Tana River is also raining this morning and it's 24 degrees, highs of 34 degrees expected today. So jua inawaka na pia kunanyesha huko. Wajir is a partly sunny day today, hakuna mvua huko. 25 degrees this morning, highs of 34 degrees expected in Wajir. Kiambu venye nimesema, thunderstorms will be experienced today, and this morning is 17 degrees, highs of 23 degrees expected in Kiambu County today. As far as Tana River, Wajir and Kiambu counties are concerned, Kisii is also going to rain with thunderstorms. This morning is 17 degrees, highs of 26 degrees expected today in Kisii County. Nairobi, we will see thunderstorms today as well. 17 degrees this morning, highs of 24 degrees. And Simsim, Kirinyaga, there will be thunderstorms today. This morning it's 19 degrees, highs of 26 degrees expected in Kirinyaga County today. And that's the state of the weather.
All right, let's take a look at the quote of the day.
Nature has given us all the pieces required to achieve exceptional wellness and health, but has left it to us to put these pieces together.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the local and regional dailies in depth.
All right, this morning we begin with the Daily Nation because it paints a picture of what exactly has been happening in the country. The Africa Forward Summit that ended yesterday, and we have that beautiful photo. And I think this is only on the front page of the Daily Nation, where all the leaders who attended the summit come together. Hapo wanapigwa picha wote, with Emmanuel Macron, his host, and all other leaders there. Wamejaa pale. But that's not the main story. Hiyo ilisha jana with the headline, Africa bids for energy deals with France. But the main story kopale juu, playing with numbers. Yeah. So they call it the beaten path. The Uhuru administration attacked Auditor General's scathing report on Eurobond, and it would appear the same is happening with this administration. So sour grapes, they ask. There is a growing trend by officials, including the president, to discredit data when it is not flattering to the state, including data from state agencies. KNBS, for example, or the Auditor General. All these are state agencies, not private individuals, but the administration keeps discrediting the same agencies that it works with. The Auditor General, Control of Budget and National Bureau of Statistics have been on the receiving end of politicians for giving out data. So when it's not flattering to the government, wanakasirika sana. Mistrust, there's a row over economic audit and social statistics, which exposes deepening mistrust between government and accountability agencies, which are also part of government. Yeah. Meanwhile, experts say oversight reports are promoting transparency and changing the discourse to advance better governance. So some of those people who've been who are said to have given alternative data. I'm calling it alternative because it's not from the main source of data that we should be getting, the KNBS, Auditor General and Control of Budget. One is Housing PS, Charles Hinga, who disputes KNBS data, showing the entire constructed sector has created 77 jobs. The Education PS, Julius Bitok, it dismissed NEC report on 151,000 school dropouts. Anasema hiyo si kweli, lakini NEC ndo wanadeal na wanafunzi. So unasikiza nani? MSMEs PS Susan Mangeni attributes audit queries on 8 billion hustler fund to dirty records. Now, is it okay? It's made for dirty records. Even the government spokesperson has not been spared. Isaac Mwaura, who says state officers have final say on numbers. So KNBS wakisema ni 3, lakini state officer ama politician ama CS comes and says, no, it is not 3, it was 7.5. Anasema the 7.5 is a final number because that's a CS. It's not KNBS. Even though tutaishi. Anyway, ni sawa. Playing with numbers, that story is on page 4 and 5 of this paper. Even the president, he disputes the Auditor General's findings on 50 billion shillings not being accounted for at the Social Health Insurance Fund. Sisi ni letu jicho tu.
Letu jicho tu.
Matters education, there's like a small space there, a highlight on the front page of the Daily Nation. Teenage pregnancy crisis in junior school. Wow. Learners in junior school account for 60% of teenage pregnancies. Now, this is according to a study by an education lobby, Usawa Agenda. It means not even those in high school, in junior school.
Yeah.
60%. High school ni kama wame grow up wakaona tafanya maneno kama haya. But junior school.
How old? 13 years and below?
Junior school is 13 years and below. Yeah, they're not even talking about junior secondary school.
Yeah.
Not JSS, junior school, meaning grade 1 to grade 7.
Yeah.
No, yeah, grade 7 actually.
Oh, 6 there.
Grade 6.
6, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually 12. And they account for 60% of teenage pregnancies. That's a worrying
That's
trend.
a crisis.
That's definitely a problem. Wow. Well, that's the Daily Nation, at least on the front page. Let's take a look, see if at all there's any other interesting story. The investigations about that reverend from PCA Nakuru who was killed continues. Thugs who killed the priest stole 60,000 from his e-wallet. Was that the main issue? Was it about money? Because they were also caught with this. No, they were, his phone was...
They ran away with this one.
They ran away with this one, so yeah. Elsewhere, that war numbers, that worrying... data about teenage pregnancy. I can see jobs advertised there, Africa Summit. Okay, right. Those are the main stories on the Daily Nation. On the back page, we have a very imposing photo of Omanyala, Africa's fastest man, Ferdinand Omanyala, who's set to start his 2026 Diamond League season in East Asia before embarking on a European tour. Na huyu jamaa anakula. Kiona ile picha iko pale. We na hajavaa shati.
Ana workout.
Omanyala to collide with world's big hitters in China. That's the Daily Nation this morning.
All right. The Standard, now that Bitok is also on the front page of the Daily Nation. Tuanzie hapo hapo. Bitok's passport hit, they call it. Nyayo house mess that despite mounting allegations over the irregular issuance of Kenyan passports and identity documents to foreign nationals, former Immigration PS Julius Bitok and Director General of Immigration Evelyn Cheluget have remained silent. Now, the latest claims gained fresh attention after documents shared publicly by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua pointed to a system that bypassed standard safeguards and fast-tracked approvals through senior immigration channels. Insider accounts and tracking records suggest a process that raised serious security concerns during Bitok's tenure. The lingering silence now leaves one central question hanging: when will Kenyans get clear answers on what really happened? No one has ever responded to these claims. Zilianza sometime around January or February, thereabouts.
And then Bitok was transferred to a different department.
Ministry, yeah. So from tuseme January hapo, sai tuko May, 4 months in, silence, nothing, nada. Very interesting. We're a very wonderful country and a very wonderful people, led by very wonderful men and women. This story has been captured on page 4. Bitok's passport hit, they call it. On the inside pages, page 2, how students planned arson in 12 schools on social media. Oh, wow. They say 33 secondary school students were presented in court. Some 12 institutions have been closed following fire incidents.
This happens every year.
It does? Yes. Arson, yes. School unrests, in schools. Why though?
Because I can see even on the Daily Nation inside pages, I can see page 3 or 4. That's a story about page 7. State House girls closed as students unrest spreads. And it always happens in the second term of the academic year. I don't know why. But watu wakwangi creative, there's nothing new they can do. Ni kuchoma shule tu na anyway.
Watafanya nini? Anyway, they need to come up with something. Any entertainment, something, just something. That story is on page 2. Rights group opposes Ruto's support for Justice Ndungu's top position at the ICC. That's another story on page 2. Macron displays soft side of his presidency.
Alikimbia Nairobi.
Alikimbia. Soft side niyo?
Yeah, alitoka mbio. Alikuwa na nani?
Kipchoge.
This
was on Monday.
Yeah. Na akacheza ball.
Wow. Pale UN.
Lakini hatujasahau walikaripia watu wakawaambia wewe you lack respect. Watu wamekasirika sana na hiyo maneno.
Hey.
That shows a lack of respect.
Yes.
Do you think President Ruto would go anywhere, even in Tanzania,
Yeah.
our jirani hafifu,
Yeah.
aende huko awaambie nyamazeni munisikize?
I don't think so.
Munakosa nidhamu nyinyi.
You know one thing about President William Ruto, I think he's used to it.
But I think Samia Suluhu would do that.
Yes, Samia Suluhu will do that.
And as a catch, ambia nyamazeni.
Matukutu nyinyi, tawapiga mkwaju. Page 4 talks about that passport pipeline linking Kenya to Sudan's militia fighters. They call it a secret passport pipeline. Gachagua calls out Macron over 7 billion shillings payout. That former DP claims the French president allowed cancellation of the Rironi-Mau Summit Road. He also claims the ongoing Africa Forward Summit, the just concluded Africa Forward Summit, is a ploy by Ruto to seek reprieve. That's a story captured on page 5 of the Standard. Senate pokes holes in doctors' health findings on Gachagua. All right, that's another story on page 4. Hearings resumes today, and his doctor is also expected to be witness.
Yes, he's the one who said that the president called. Yeah, imeleta shida sana kwa watu wataki kusikia ati president alipiga simu. Sasa kama alipiga sisi tufanye nini?
Yes. Sasa lawyers wanataka Gikonyo afanyiwe cross examination na pia. All right, on the back page of the Standard this morning, FKF crisis deepens. Logistics firm sues Federation over 64 million shillings churn bill amid widening leadership turmoil. And that's the Standard.
Right. Hey, it reminds me when they were campaigning, these people looked like probably wanaweza work pamoja vizuri sana. That's FKF president and his deputy, Donald Mariga.
Mariga, okay.
Lakini sasa ni kama mambo imeenda segemeneke. All right, let's focus on the Star now. The Star has gone political. Of course, it gives us some highlights, some very interesting photos. We were talking about this camaraderie between the French President Emmanuel Macron and President William Ruto. I've never seen hands, but I think Uhuru Kenyatta pia alikuwa anapenda kushikashika watu kwa kiuno, kwa shingo, mabega. That's what we're seeing here with
I've never seen anything like this.
That's what we're seeing here. With President William Ruto and Emmanuel Macron. Kila mahali mikono tu.
It's beautiful to see. Yeah.
There's we've done one story here at TV47 where it shows the President William Ruto standing one end of the red carpet welcoming people to the KICC for the summit. And then every president has to come. Alafu, they begin their hugs like 10 meters away. Wakikuja tu wanaenda hivi kutembea. Very interesting photo there, and some of those who are attending the event. Ruto seeking fairer global financing system at the summit. That's a highlight. But the main story is a political one. And now ODM finds itself back on the front pages. Fight for ODM bases as Oburu and Sifuna stage rival rallies. These rallies are set for 31st of May, end of this month. So the factions are planning meetings in the Lake region on the same day. Remember, Linda Mwananchi have already been to Kisumu, and they were received very well. So sahi wanajua kumbe tunaweza enda. But imagine now in the Lake region kuna mkutano moja ya Linda Ground, mwingine ya Linda Mwananchi. It's going to be interesting. So that's the main story on the Star. Talking about matters politics, why UDA is facing a tough fight in Emurua Dikir by-election. Remember that by-election is set for tomorrow. So campaigns officially are ending today. Kesho watu waende kwa debe. DCP inaonekana iko na bit of muscle. UDA nasikia kuna shida pale katikati. What will happen come tomorrow? Forget about Ol Kalou, that will come in July. Emurua Dikir is a big discussion this week. Right, back page. Of course, the Star always focuses on matters local sports. So AFC under pressure. Leopards fight to close gap on leaders Gor Mahia in title race as Ulinzi test await at Nyayo Stadium. And that's the Star. Fresh, independent, different. Grab yourself a copy of this paper for only 60 shillings.
All right. Same headline on the front page of Taifa Leo. ODM kujipima nguvu bila Raila. Afisa mkuu wa ODM amenukuliwa hapa akisema lengo letu ni kujua maeneo tulio na nguvu kisiasa. Wanaotuma maombi watatusaidia kujipanga. Huyo ni afisa mkuu wa ODM. Nani?
Sijui jina yake.
Afisa mkuu. What's afisa mkuu?
Executive director. You know, they're referring to, they've advertised as a party for people who are aspiring to be the party's candidates for president, governor, senator, woman representative, and members of the National Assembly, as well as members of the County Assembly. So they posted that on dailies yesterday. So anasema, according to what I understand, anasema now they'll use that to test their strength in areas. So kuna mahali wanaweza advertise waone huko, no one is interested in being a party candidate, wanajua pale kuna shida. So places like Western Kenya and the coast will really matter to ODM.
Alright. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa pili wanasema chama cha ODM kimeanza mkakati wa ndani wa kujitathmini kisiasa kuelekea uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka ujao, huku kukiwa na wasiwasi kuhusu mustakabali wake bila kiongozi wake wa muda mrefu Raila Odinga kugombea urais. Manjimi ashasema ametosha mboga. I had him say that somewhere.
Jimmy ule wasia?
Yes. Manjimi. Vidokezo zaidi, Ruto na Macron wataka sauti ya Afrika. UN wametoa wito wa mageuzi UN ili Afrika iwe na uwakilishi wa haki katika maamuzi. Matapeli wa ardhi tishio kuu Mavoko. Kila siku katika eneo la Mavoko Machakos wakazi hupoteza ardhi kwa walaghai. 100 wauawa kwenye shambulizi la kigaidi. Hii ni kwenye soko lililokuwa na watu wengi jimbo la Zamfara kule Nigeria. Masuala ya mambo ya nje. Avuna kufuga aina tofauti ya kondoo. Huyu ni mkazi alizamia ufugaji huo miaka 10 iliyopita na hajuti kamwe. Hiyo ni aina gani ya kondoo? Utaipata katika ukurasa wa 14 wa gazeti hili. Gazeti la Taifa Leo.
All right. Let's take a look at the People Daily, and he talks about numbers. And this one may, I think those people who disagree with the numbers on the front page of the Daily Nation may also disagree with some of these numbers. So the headline is, Why Ruto's 2027 Battle is Getting Tougher. Stalled projects, restless youth, rising taxes, and weak economy are complicating president's re-election. And on page 6 of this paper, they give a breakdown of some, and they give figures. So apparently there are 400 government projects that have stalled. The economy slowed down from 4.7% in 2024 to 4.6% in 2025. These are numbers. 5% presumptive tax on charged on mitumba. We talked about this. Duty to be imposed on mobile phones, 25%. This we talked about. And they're saying because of this, and there's 662 billion shilling, the value of stalled projects. Because of this, it is harder for William Ruto when it comes to 2027. These are the numbers, but I'm sure according to other people, they may disagree with these ones. I'm just reading the front page of the People Daily. Pale juu, attendance crisis threatens Senate's legislative agenda. Ni kama hawaendi kazi.
Senators.
So every time, quorum hitch, quorum hitch, quorum hitch. We'll be having one senator here, Joe Nyoto of Murang'a. Nimuulize mbona hawaendi kazi.
Eri wao.
Eri wao. All right, that's the People Daily.
All right. Business Daily, EPRA ends Kenya power monopoly. That Kenya has disagreed, or Kenya has cleared the path for power producers to directly sell electricity to larger consumers, ignoring a World Bank's warning against the push to end Kenya Power's monopoly. Now, the state has published the energy regulations of 2026 that allow producers to rival Kenya Power. They call it electricity market, bulk supply, and open access. The regulations will allow producers with no existing power purchase agreements with Kenya Power to sell electricities to bigger consumers like commercial enterprises, industries, and factories. That's the story on page 2.
Interesting, because previously all producers, small and big ones, had to sell to Kenya Power. Now they're allowed to sell directly to consumers. All right.
That's the Business Daily this morning, and they also make mention of the Africa Forward Summit and that very beautiful photo of the leaders who attended this summit yesterday. Yes.
All right. Tuvuke border tuende Uganda, na mazungumzo yao yote ni kuhusu the inauguration and the swearing in of President Yoweri Museveni for a 7th term, which would take him 45 years as president. Hiyo si kidogo. So amesema hii hakuna kulala. And so the front page of the Daily Monitor goes, term no sleep. That's what the president said, hapa hakuna kulala sasa. Key commitments made by the president, hata lala. That's a commitment. Hata ukimwona amelala, hajalala, sababu amesema hata lala. Ugandans demand lower taxes and better services, and Museveni avoids transition debate in speech. Watu wanataka kujua ukiondoka, mambo ya Mungu hatujui, ukiondoka kutendaji. Jana, was it this week we were saying that many people in Uganda are saying, no, I'm not interested in the presidency. I think it was on Monday, you are not in, we are not, hata Anita Amonga akasema, I'm not interested in the presidency. Wow. Would you, while Museveni is still there, say, yes, I'm interested in the presidency? Kuna swali zingine hata usiulize watu. Anyway.
Bobby would.
Daily Monitor. The other one is a new vision still in Uganda. Still, no corruption, no sleep. President amesema. Museveni outlines key priorities for the next term. What other leaders said. Full Museveni speech inside this paper. And guess who stole the show in the swearing in. Nilisikia ati Uhuru Kenyatta was made to stand for 5 minutes because hawako amepanga ile gari itabeba huyo jamaa.
Wow.
Yeah, when they were leaving. Hiyo ndio maana tunasema anyway. Chato siongee vibaya. Alafu sasa wameanza ile mtindo pale chini ya kucongratulate the president, wataendelea hivi for the next 1 month. Congratulations to President Yoweri Museveni. That is as far as Uganda is concerned. Twende Tanzania. The Citizen. LPG prices rise amid spiraling fuel costs, and they've been talking about this over and over consistently. The papers in Tanzania talk about fuel prices and gas prices. So bei ya gesi inapanda. Imagine 15 kg. Ile 13 kg. You only need 63,000 in Uganda. Hata ile 6 kg 28,000
in Tanzania.
In Tanzania. Meanwhile mafuta ya petroli ni 4,115 a liter. Ukiwa na 20,000 hata 5 liter upati.
Wewe unapenda kutishia wa Kenya sana. Hiyo sasa ni pesa ngapi in Kenyan?
Fanya mahesabu. Shut up. Why do you need 40,000?
Sasa ukishasema 63,000 Kenyan shillings. 63,000.
Ni habari ile ile kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Mwananchi. Gesi ya kupikia ya paa ya ng'ata. Bei yaongezeka kati ya 5,000 na 6,000 kwa mtungi. Eura yasema, Eura ni kama EPRA. Yasema inafuatilia hali ya soko, kampuni za kana kupandisha bei. Bei mpya mtungi wa kilo 15 wa gesi ambayo awali ilikuwa ni ikiuzwa kwa shilingi 57,000. Sasa ni 62,000.
That's 3,000 Kenyan shillings.
Ungewacha tu watu washtuke kidogo. Pesa za Tanzania. Gazeti la Mwananchi. So ukiangalia Uganda, no sleep. Tanzania, bei ya gesi. Haya, turudi nyumbani tuangazie Karakacha, and we start off with the Standard. And the cartoon on the Standard, still Uganda, with Yoweri Museveni. Amekwa jezi number 81, I think that's his age. Na mpira imeandikwa 7th term, lakini amepewa mkwaju. Hisi jukani ile mkwaju ya Samia, ya kutandika watu. Kina amesema, so help me God. Ukienda some churches hapa in Nairobi, huwezi sema ati God. Wanasema, oh God.
Very interesting.
So help me God. That's the Standard.
All right, People Daily. Kenyans wanasema they're being choked by the fuel levy, and the President William Ruto is there at the pump. Anaambiwa hapo, you're choking me. Fuel levy. That's diagnostic.
All right. The one on the Daily Nation is very interesting. It has a caricature of the 3 East African presidents, at least the more prominent ones.
Yes.
So President William Ruto ako on phone. Yoweri Museveni ako pale pia na Samia Suluhu Hassan. It's about that issue about the refinery. And the fact that it keeps changing. Mara walisema wanataka Tanga, lakini walisema wamekubaliana na Uganda, lakini Tanzania wakasema, sisi hatuna, we are not aware. Kidogo Dangote akasema anataka Kenya. So which is which? So President Ruto appears to be next to a spin wheel. So is it Mombasa Changamwe? Is it Lunga Lunga in South Coast? Is it Tanga in Tanzania? Or is it Kampala? No, Lamu, collapsed corridor. But Ruto says it is Dangote's decision, it's not mine. Yeye ndo anatoa pesa. Mwenye anatoa dosi ndo nini? Whoever pays the piper calls the tune. I think this is true. Dangote said he prefers Mombasa. So wale wengine wamekasirika, no, but it's not my decision. Yes. It's Dangote's decision.
All right, finally the one on the Star talks about the just concluded Africa Forward Summit. Yes, President William Ruto is there, and Macron of France. Alisema angali East, angali West. Forward.
And this is very interesting. Unaona hata wale marais wengine wanaangalia Ruto. Are you sure? Because even according to this cartoonist, tumeongea kuhusu mikono.
Yes.
Ameweka mikono wapi? Kulikuwa na mikono mingi kila mahali.
Yes.
Wanasema forward, it looks like a colonialist. Na hiyo mapua imewekwa mbele. Africa Forward Summit.
A colonialist.
Alafu wale wengine waangalia, are you sure? Right? So those are the local dailies.
Of course.
And he has a sword pointing that direction, and according to this cartoonist, even his nose is pointing in that direction. All right. So we do have our reporter Modoni Brenda on the streets of Nairobi, checking out the traffic situation now after the Africa Summit ended. And let's link up with her. Modoni, very good morning. How is the city looking like a day after the Africa Forward Summit?
A very good morning to you, Fred Indimuli and Ann Odida. I was following the conversation and I agree. Ni vizuri tutafute pesa. Yani Dangote has all three East African presidents on phone na nawaambia mimi niko na pesa na hivi ndivyo nataka. But anyway, as you can see behind me, Indimuli, Nairobians are awake na wameamka kutafuta hizo pesa. Here at Moi Avenue, traffic is slowly trying to build up. But I want to give you an update on all our major roads. At Mombasa Road, we are going to start with the Mombasa Road corridor, where traffic is building up steadily inbound from Imara Daima towards the Nyayo Stadium roundabout. So if you want to use the expressway, it's clear. If you want to bypass the lower level delays. And this Wednesday morning, it's excellent news for commuters heading in from Central, since there are 0 traffic incidents reported on the main lanes from Ruiru down to Roysambu, but you can expect minor typical snarl-ups at the Muthaiga intersection. At Ngong Road in Dimuli, inbound lanes are slowly moving near the City Mortuary roundabout. It is bumper to bumper past CTM Ngong Road, stretching back all the way to the Adams Arcade. In Wayakiwe, wale watu ambao tunatoka Westlands, heavy traffic is slowing down vehicles at the Kangemi overpass heading towards Westlands. Nimepitia pale KICC, kumbuka when the Africa Forward Summit began, the national, the NTSA had given an advisory wakiambia Wakenya kwamba Taifa Road, Harambe Avenue, all those roads are going to be closed. Now today morning, hizo barabara zimefunguliwa, but there is an advisory online yenye inaambia watu wenye wanatumia Mombasa Road and Langata Road to be, or rather to expect traffic, since many VVIP motorcades will be jetting back towards the JKIA. Back to you two in studio.
All right, thank you so much, Modoni Brenda, for that traffic update. Yes, we said barabara zimefunguliwa sasa after the Africa Forward Summit, and you can actually see it's easing up on the major tributaries into town. Thank you so much for that comprehensive traffic update. Just a reminder, after the break, State of the Nation will be discussing the Africa Forward Summit. Rigathi Gachagua had something to say about it. Also, the fact that the National Assembly has invited you Kenyans for public hearings of the budget estimates, even as you continue giving a memoranda on the finance bill as well. So these will form part of our discussions, plus some politics ahead of the by-election in Emurua Dikir tomorrow.
All right, keep interacting with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya, on Facebook and on YouTube, on X at TV47 Digital. You can tag us. My handle is at Annie_Odida.
Mine is at Fred Indimuli. Once again, that question you're asking today.
Yes. Gender expectations killing love. Talk to us. Tuambie, what do you think? See you after the break.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunywa maji.
Oh my God. You left me.
Nitumie ni line. Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? High five?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas. No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV 47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
Then you move it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV 47.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link Up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
Then you move it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
African leaders have used the African Forward Summit platform to defend Africa's position in the global economy, saying the continent should no longer be viewed as a burden, but as a key part of the solution to global challenges.
Africa does not need privilege, but fairness. We don't need exclusion, but inclusion. We do not seek confrontation, but partnership anchored on mutual respect.
President Emmanuel Macron led the final plenary on reforming the international financial architecture, urging a fair system for the global south. Macron spotlighted Africa's pivotal role, declaring the continent essential to fixing outdated financial structures dominated by the West.
So what we stand ready to do is assist you financing that with a reworked security arrangement, which is respectful of the sovereignty of each African country.
This happening at a time when France is losing influence in some of its former West African colonies, where anti-French sentiments have been rising, and is seeking to redefine its relationship with Africa. Macron announced a $27 billion investment across Africa, even as Paris faces growing criticism over its past influence on the continent.
Peace is going to require African unity, and I really firmly believe this. And I'm delighted to see so many of my brothers here, heads of state and government from so many nations who have come to Nairobi. I know that you're all very busy, so I'm very grateful to you for making this, because it really does share this image of a united continent.
The African continent will be the powerhouse of global growth. So let us work together, let us put our energies together and move forward.
Beyond politics, France is increasingly turning to business, culture, technology and investment to maintain its relevance on the continent as competition from China, Russia and Turkey continues to grow. Leaders at the summit agreed that Africa's growing population, innovation and strategic position makes the continent a critical player in shaping the future global economy.
Forward through one of the most turbulent global moments in living memory. Africa is not waiting. Africa is moving, and Africa is leading.
The summit stands as a defining moment as the continent grapples with rapid urbanization alongside limited industrialization, bringing forth the urgency of a sustainable model of growth that secures long-term prosperity. For TV47, I'm Linda Alela.
It has been one of the biggest discussions this past week, the Africa Forward Summit. Many questions and some criticism, and we'll get to that as we continue discussing probably the outcomes and what it means, even the optics of the same. Allow me to welcome my panelists this morning. On my immediate left, Julius Ruto, MP Keses constituency. Good morning, karibu sana.
Good morning, thank you, Fred.
Yes, also with us this morning is Peter Orero, MP Kibra constituency. It's good to have you in studio this morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes. And we do expect one more panelist will be joining us. Yes, gains, but also a lot of discussions around the optics of the same, Bwana Ruto. When you talk about a partnership of equals, because that's what should happen in a bilateral situation, this kind of format, Africa Forward Summit, previously would have been called French Africa Summit, the same as Japan Africa Summit or others. And many people are saying it does not look like a partnership of equals, because it would appear the French president is the main focus here, and then all African leaders have to come converge and listen to this one gentleman. It is one of those things that President William Ruto said he does not like when he became president, yet he's the one hosting the same this time. Do you agree that there's something a bit off with this kind of format of the summit?
Thank you. And first of all, we have to appreciate the fact that you can hold a position and remain in your situation without any move, and it doesn't make any difference. To me, this African Forward Summit, first of all, is an indicator that something is happening. For the first time, we are holding a francophone engagement in anglophone. That means we are expanding the boundaries and inclusion, because the markets we are looking for is not only on a specific area. What we are competing around and what we are discussing on about partnership is a question of trade, because what links nations or countries is trade. That is the economic activities that boost the strength of every nation. Well, pessimists may look from different angle. The fact that you're holding a position doesn't mean you're not going to relate. You cannot work in isolation. So to me, my view and my perception, I want to give a heads up to the President of Kenya for being the first African in an English-speaking countries to bring about this one, because it's a strategic connection. Well, for far too long, we are aware that France has been focusing on the West. most of the countries that have been under the purview of colony, trade network, observation has been on the West. But East has been on the other side of the English. But now this has limited the trading aspect. Look at Kenya, we are producing tea. But if you look at the areas we are marketing our tea, it's so limited. But at least when they came in the other day, they had a champagne, they call it champagne, a tea, the glass dosing of tea. What does that tell you? It tells us there's another platform of engaging. So this partnership is not only an aspect of political view. I looked at from the point of economic and positioning. You know, it came and now people know there's a place called Kenya. Yes, we are known only on athletics. Now we are being known on another platform of discussion. So to me, I don't see as a question of compromise on the position, but I see as a question of advancing the agenda of saying, look at this. We also have a position. We have a sound. We are existing, you know. So from my point of view, I consider that way.
Okay. Bonorero, on this one, I don't know if you share the same views as Bonaruto here, because many argue that it would appear that we've placed some of these European or US or Asian countries on a pedestal, and where Africans go to pay tribute and pay homage to this individual. Now we are bringing this individual here and we are doing the same. This is one of those things President William Ruto said we should not be doing. Yet he's now leading other African countries in doing the same. And according to Bonaruto, we should be applauding the president for that.
Of course, the world is gradually changing, especially economically and in global terms. Many continents now want to come together and have a unified force in terms of economic growth. And this is now seen because in Africa we find that the Anglo-speaking, the Anglophones, they are more than the English-speaking almost. When you go to the West, you'll find that most of them are French-speaking countries. But the economic advancements should not have boundaries. And when we look at this now in terms of economic growth in Africa, I think this is one of the reasons why we have the French president here. And you have just categorically said that it is almost equal partnership. As much as we would wish to wish that away, we also know that we have first countries, developed countries. We cannot wish this away, even as Kenyans. We all know that some of these countries are economically more stable. But why should we shy away from having partnership, economic partnership, and other areas which can improve the lives of Kenyans when we partner together? We should not look at it in terms of being subdued by some of these European countries, but we should look at it in terms of getting positive advancements. And this is in terms of economic growth. So I don't think we should really look at the negative side as a Kenyan people. We should look at the positive sides, what it is bringing to Kenyans as a society, and what we may get for the future generation.
Yes. Allow me to welcome Senator Joe Nyoto to the panel. Senator Nyoto from Murang'a, karibu sana. We're just discussing the Africa Forward Summit, the criticism that has been directed to this kind of format. And we're talking about the format because individual countries like Kenya can still have discussions with France directly, bilateral discussions. It is a criticism about having a collection of African leaders going to pay homage to one European or Asian or American leader. And our president was one of those strongly opposed to that, but now we're seeing he's shepherding his colleagues in Africa to do the same. We know the kind of trouble that France is having in West Africa. Now they seem to have found a safe home in Kenya. But when it comes to that format, one leader from Europe, all African leaders coming to pay homage, what do you think of that?
Thank you, Fred. I think it's important that our leaders in Africa say what they mean and mean what they say. It is, of course, very desirable and very good that they say that we should not pay homage to these particular, Western nations. But then we don't do that. For me, I think bilateral relations are good. I mean, we exist in a global village, and of course, different countries have different, abilities, and of course we need to come together. I like, for example, the cooperation that has been there between Kenya and not necessarily France, but maybe the US, especially in sharing intelligence to be able to, of course, deal with with terrorism, which is a very serious, thing in the world. So bilateral relations, yes, but this act of, like you say, bringing together nations to discuss with just one particular head of state of a Western nation, where such a leader behaves like he's a prefect to all, is a challenge. The other thing that I look at is, of course, when we get these aid and these, these agreements with these foreign nations, there are always strings attached, and sometimes, it may not be there on paper or when we are being given these agreements, but there are so many other strings attached that we also need to think about. Of course, so that some nations without any reference to any particular country, of course, they will bring some conditions like, let us recognize gayism, gay rights, which negates our African values and that kind of thing. And then sometimes some of the agreements that we make come with some other arrangements that, for example, maybe we need to get people managing the resources from the origin of these resources. So there are many things. But all having been said and done, Fred, I think it's important that we emphasize on homegrown solutions for some of the problems that we have. If we are able to eradicate or arrest corruption, for example, maybe we may need very little, even aid or foreign assistance. If we manage our resources, the mega resources that we have, if we manage them in the right way, we may now not actually need to go with the begging bowl to these nations. Fred, because we have been to some of these countries, we thank God that after being elected, you get an opportunity to visit these countries, some of them. They are not, what makes their economies work is good systems, public transport system, working very well, so that people save on a lot of, costs that would have been there. In some countries, I visited Switzerland last year, and going to Geneva, by the way, sometimes you wonder if you may not even need a car, because the bus system there works very well. So you can imagine the kind of man hours that we waste here, the costs in terms of fuel that we can save if we had a good, city transport system, for example. Health systems that work so that citizens, know that that you are assured of health care. Even without any money, because the health system works, there is a good health cover, that kind of thing. So that when people pay taxes, they pay taxes with goodwill. So that you may find that no citizen, in fact, is trying to evade tax. And so government collects more. So I think we also need to look for local solutions, even as we engage with other countries, so that we do not rely wholly on other countries.
Yes, even as you make your contribution, one of the biggest discussions, and it's about the relationship that these nations have vis-a-vis with us. And some say it's a bit condescending, that it would appear these leaders from the Western side are elevated. And one of those such incidences happened, I think, on Tuesday at Taifa Hall in the University of Nairobi, where Emmanuel Macron was addressing the audience and actually told them off and told them they lack respect. And many people talked about that, even in the dailies. Are we missing the point by focusing on such? I know the papers have covered even some of the deals that have been signed. Are we missing the point in looking at the relationship first and how they, Western countries, treat us, even in a manner of speech?
Well, number one, first of all, I think my good friend has decided to say it's the moment to digress from the real issue that we are discussing here, to look at internal aspect. What happened at Taifa Hall probably was also unfortunate. In any case, in any family, we host guests. We were children. You remember when we were children and the guests are there, there was a way our parents used to manage us not to create disturbance or some unbecoming behavior. We had a visitor. It doesn't matter who was the visitor or where from. The fact that the French president might give another latitude, but we had a visitor who was addressing on some issues. Good demeanor and decorum calls for sanity at any given time. Whenever once the guest has left, you can have your issues. So probably out of agitation on the people who are making some noises background, he brought out our issue, which to me, I know we are, the beauty of our constitution and our democracy for Kenyans, that's who we are. You know, unlike other countries where it's dictatorial, that's who we are. But at times I want to say, it doesn't mean that we should behave like that every other time. We should look at the situation. So for him to speak out, nothing much you can attach to the power, because, you know, he was expressing the situation the way it was. So I don't hold like it was dictating or, you know, berating our people.
Is it something you would expect our President William Ruto, let's say, goes to Uganda or to Tanzania and tell them off that you lack respect?
He was in Tanzania the other day and he was received well. In fact, he was prayed for. Remember, he was in Parliament and he was given a good
audience.
And
as a good guest, he accepted all that.
And he was given well, he was prayed for. And like our situation, this is a unique thing. You know, we've never seen this, a unique thing that's happening around here. But nonetheless, to say, of course, our freedom of expression has to be respected. Either way, it has to be respected. But again, we should also have limits.
Is it a sign, Bonorero? You know, is it a sign of the kind of relationship we have with the Western countries, that they feel like they're like a father figure or a big brother, that they can tell you off?
Maybe that was a personal statement, is not a collective statement of the foreign and European countries. Maybe that is an individual character. But again, it reflects the level of the democracy that is exercised in this country. There are very, very few countries in the world that can accommodate the kind of democratic space that has been created in this country, where everybody and everyone can speak his or her mind, and you go scot-free. Many of these countries, our neighboring countries, you cannot express yourself the way we do in Kenya. All our neighboring countries, I will not want to touch and talk about the names, and you know our neighboring countries. When you extend it to other countries, I think Kenya is one of the most democratic countries that we have. We rank among the best in the world. And when our young people, this generation is not like our generation. When you want to address them, you must think twice, because they will speak their mind the way they want. So it is upon you to know how to respond to this. And I think this guy has not been in many of our countries which are democratized. And I think he was surprised how people are expressing themselves. So I think he has a thin skin, and it was pricked. So it came out.
But it also brings out the same thing, Senator, the fact that every Western leader believes that Africans are all the same, that the way Kenyans behave would be the same way he would expect Ugandans to behave or people from South Africa to behave. They do not pay attention to the nitty-gritties or the differences in nations. Why? Because they've collected you in a group. Do you think, what is your view about his reaction, Emmanuel Macron's reaction that day?
First of all, Fred, I think my view is that Macron was contemptuous of Kenyans. If I visit your house and your kids misbehave, it will not be me to shout them down and tell them start behaving. In fact, if you remember, he actually even raised his voice. He did not just express, you know, his disappointment with the fact that, you know, people are not giving him the kind of, you know, audience that he needed. He was contemptuous. Why? Because, like you say, he feels he's a big brother. He feels that he's here to benefit us, and it doesn't matter how his country benefits. Although there are very many benefits that, of course, they will, his country will benefit from. And this is not unique to Macron. Only, I mean, the kind of feeling that they have It's only that Macron expressed it, and there was a situation that made him, of course, come out in his true colors and what they think of us. So they're very contemptuous. Because I don't know, Ruto may say that I'm digressing, but I mean, we have seen people being even shouted down. And if they are good leaders with respect, there is a way that they behave. Fred, I have said here many times, even before Baba, Raila Amolo Odinga passed on, I've said I had a lot of respect for Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. I want to refer you to one incident that happened, I think it was the last actually joint parliamentary group meeting that I had with Kenya Kwanza. And you know, he at one point was very hard on parliamentarians, and I believe the two of my colleagues were there. And he was like, I mean, why would, he was talking about devolution, but what made the legislators unsettled was when he said that I think Kera should be devolved to counties, and legislators were not very happy about it. They actually like booed Raila Amolo Odinga. And I still remember what Raila said. He told them, listen to me. He said, one man said, I may not agree with what you are saying, and I'm quoting Baba team. I may not agree with what you are saying, but I'll defend unto death. You are right to say it. That is what he said, and I think Orero was there. And I thought that was statesmanly, you know. So that is a kind of, you know, approach I would have expected Macron to use. That fine, the crowd in your view is misbehaving, but if you are not contemptuous, there is a way in which you can, you know, make them know that, you know, you need to listen to me, regardless of what you feel about what I'm saying, but in a polite way. But because he's contemptuous, first of all, you know, some of these people, and I don't want to accuse him of being a racist, but some of them, first, are racist. Two, they are contemptuous because they think that, you know, having been their colonies, and, you know, having gone ahead even after independence to be like to worship them for the little aid that they give us. And it's high time, by the way, we started evaluating this aid, because sometimes it is too expensive.
All right.
So I think he was contemptuous. I would have expected him to behave in a more diplomatic way, because this is not his country. He is a guest. I mean, for me, I was very
not his place to tell anyone off.
Yes, yes.
Anyway,
yes,
but
right.
These are not the only discussion points. Of course, there are MOUs, 11 of them that were signed between Kenya and France. A lot of discussions about energy, climate financing. We're not saying that those are not important. We're just looking at the highlights and the big talking points from that visit. And one other criticism.
The beauty of us, what we like so much as Kenyans, is always to look at the negative side of everything, because we are naturally pessimists.
Let's look at some of the comments that we got during that visit. One of them was from the DCP party leader, Rigathi Gachagua, speaking yesterday, and he directed some comments towards this summit. Let's listen to what he had to say.
The African Forward Summit happening in Nairobi is just a sideshow of Mr. William Ruto to hoodwink Kenyans on the matters that affect them. But what is coming out of it, of Emmanuel Macron from France, it is important we let you know why Kenyans made noise to you at the University of Nairobi Taifa Hall. It wasn't because of disrespect or hatred. They had a message for you, that their taxpayers' money has been used and wired to French farms to a tune of Kenya shillings 7 billion, being proceeds of crime, as their children are not in school and they have no food on the table. Mr. Macron, this is how it happened. On September 30, 2020, under President Uhuru Kenyatta's government, French firms were awarded a Kenya shillings 159 billion contract to build the Nairobi-Nakuru-Mau Summit Road. However, the deal was cancelled by President William Ruto administration even before the contractor commenced works, ushering in Chinese contractors to give room for corruption. The entry of the Chinese contractors, CRBC, came after the president visited Beijing in April last year. Based on reports emerging in May 2026, the Auditor General has flagged the irregular diversion of approximately 7.3 billion Kenya shillings from the fuel levy intended for road maintenance to pay French firms for the cancellation of the Rironi-Mau Summit toll road contract. Mr. Macron, your French firms had a contract of 150 billion for a bigger scope. The Chinese firm CRBC firm takes it to 200 billion on a smaller scope, creating a 50 billion fund for corruption by William Ruto and the Chinese contractors. But your biggest interest and the reason why your French firms accepted cancellation of the Mau Summit was to get 7 billion shillings without doing anything at all. Mr. Macron, you are an accomplice in the 7 billion Kenya shillings theft from the people of Kenya. That is the money you have actually come to negotiate in Nairobi, not the summit that you are attending. Kenyans, this is a message Kenyans was passing to you yesterday. If you do
Some of the reactions from the political class, I'm sure there are many others who spoke, but this is a kind of reaction. Many people appear very skeptical in interacting with these Western countries. What do you make of that kind of reaction?
Whenever you put forward political interest, what else do you expect? You try to punch holes in everything. As we said, pessimists will always see calamity in every opportunity, whereas people with objectivity will see a moment of success and opportunity in such situations. I sit in the Committee of Finance and National Planning, and the beauty of committees, we always engage on matters budget as part of our role on oversight and budget making process. The French firm, which initially initiated negotiation on the Rironi-Mau Summit, which never took place for some reasons, had contractual obligation with Kenya. And since the ties and the bottlenecks that were existing for that progress, for that project to progress, to reach a point of giving way, but there were processes, since already there were contractual obligation and terms which had already been engaged. So it had reached a point of parting ways. But indeed, there was aspect of liquidation of those contracts. I'm fully aware, unless I'm told otherwise, fully aware in my mind, the supplementary budget for the financial year 2024, I think so, it was presented in our committee, a request of 6 billion by National Treasury to be able to discharge that obligation, which we heeded to it, and we approved it. We recommended to the National Assembly, to the House, for the final approval, and it was indeed approved. 6 billion Kenya shillings for that purpose. So this other aspect of a diversion of other money, then it means the money was far beyond 6 billion. But what we were told is 6 billion, and that's what we approved, and that's what has been executed, and that's what has given yield now to the current engagement of the road construction. I don't know why and this is not the first time, we've always perceiving developmental progress or any progress as especially in opposition, for far too long, always looking at a negative eye. You try to look at
Isn't that the work of the opposition?
It's all right, but look at now such an area. What was happening in Nairobi? These are issues that are internal affairs. We want to wash ourselves, our linen outside. For God's sake, does it mean that we are failing institutions? So will they come and help us now? Does it mean already we have EACC, we have DC, we have DBP, we have all these agencies? Does it mean we have a failed institution that you could not look at this? Yes, Auditor General has flagged out a risk. What happened? This seems from there, the recommendation that which the Auditor General has made on that. Because I'm aware, yes, there's the money of fuel levy which has been already part of negotiation, has been used because the aspect of securitization, which has played a role in the 40 billion money which was pledged by the government of Kenya for the BBP to run. That is the current works which are happening in Mau Summit, the road between Mau Summit. And of course, for God's sake, I used that road to get to the western part of Kenya. And it's troubling for you to go.
So you're not necessarily
so why we are pinching on...
You're saying government approved, the parliament approved.
Yeah, the 6 billion.
Yes.
It was appropriated through the budget, through the national budget.
But
not even on the fuel levy.
It's not
so
even
it's
about
okay,
the
not
road,
that.
yeah.
But still, my big question is this:
it's washing.
What is the value?
Yes.
What is the value while the guests are there? And then we go on record to say, look at, and I would wish you would play the sound at Taifa Hall on that day and pick what Kenyans were saying and reflect with that the former deputy president is saying, and then we confirm whether this is the truth.
But if Kenyans learn that a French company benefited 6 or 7 billion shillings without doing anything,
and before you hand it to him,
yeah,
they can moderate them for your information, they direct them for your information, and they are them for your information. Are you aware that Kenya is obligated to pay, even up to now, those dams that were terminated by the former regime out of those systemic engagement, whatever. And already, as we talk right now, we are on the dead brim of paying them without service.
And we don't, for normal Kenyan, a common mwananchi, they don't care who's the head of state. But when they come and make us pay more for no service, of course Kenyans will be
It's good to bring about.
It is a valid point, yes. But the issue is not even about that particular issue about the 7 billion shillings. It's a kind of feeling that Kenyans have on any, because we're talking about relationships, a relationship with France and even the Western countries. Do you think that the point by the former deputy president is valid?
Of course, all of us, we have all opinion. And we are lucky that we have somebody in finance committee that sat on this and the processes, and I think he has explained how this happened, that the parliament approved about 6 billion. When you cancel tenders, then you are obligated to pay. Even if it were not France, if it were US, it was China, and it was cancelled, the same thing would have happened. But I think maybe it is a coincidence. I don't know whether it is a coincidence of an accidental situation, of an incident, or it was pre-planned, that the head of state of France was here, and the farms which were cancelled were from his country. And irony, what I would think, was he involved with those farms? If Kenyans think that those farms are from France, was the head of state involved, or those are different entities? You know, sometimes we can tie a country to an individual. These farms operated quite independently without his knowledge. As a country, a developed country, you can have big farms that can have contractual obligations in various countries without approval of the head of state. So that is also one aspect. But again, we cannot prevent Kenyans from thinking that he was involved, and now that he was here, because Kenyans also can be expressing maybe their frustration. But one of the things that we must accept is that although two wrongs don't make a right, but successive governments have terminated many contracts that Kenyans are still paying. Not necessarily this one, but even the previous governments. But as Kenyans, we can always say that two wrongs don't make a right. Maybe that instance, during that time, it was not blown out, that maybe there are contracts which were terminated and Kenyans are paying. But this Rironi, I think, has raised a lot of eyebrows. I don't know why. But that levy fund, the securitization of the levy fund, is not necessarily about paying the farms which were terminated, because the 6 billion came procedurally through the supplementary budget in Parliament and passed by the parliamentarians. So this levy that they're talking about diverted to pay the France farm, I think this is another different kind of thought that is now being brought to our minds.
Okay, as we finish this discussion, Bonaruto asks, was it right for the former deputy president to find it fit to wash dirty linen in public when visitors are here?
Thank you very much, and maybe to just use your words, if you don't want your dirty linen to be washed in public, please keep your linen clean. So if government is keeping its linen dirty, we will wash it in public, because government should keep its linen tidy and clean. So I don't think that my party leader, Rigathi Gachagua, made any mistake by washing that dirty linen in the public. So let President Ruto and his government keep all the linens clean. That's why you are elected as president. You're not elected as president to make linens dirty, and now you expect the opposition not to wash them in public. We'll wash them in public as long as they are dirty. But allow me to maybe make an observation about the argument that Honorable Ruto has given here. And he has said that he is in the Finance Committee. I think what I was waiting for him to tell us is why in the first place was the contract cancelled. Because if we cancelled this particular contract because we got a lower bid, and then we did some computation and we discovered that even when we pay for cancellation of this contractual obligation, that we will still save some money, then you can be able to convince Kenyans that we cancelled this particular contract because we knew whatever it was going for and whatever we were going to pay for cancellation of the same combined was still more than what now we will be able to pay. And so they were saving in public funds. But now it was cancelled from the original 159 billion to 200 billion. I would like to hear from the Finance Committee, represented here by Honorable Ruto, why in the first place it was cancelled. Why Rigathi Gachagua said what he said is because, Fred, whatever exists, the relationship between different countries is about interests. When Macron is here, he is not here to promote Kenyan interests. He is here to promote French interests. And these interests are, of course, through French companies. So why would Macron be so happy with the government of Kenya, led by President William Ruto, that actually contracts that had been awarded to French companies were cancelled? So Rigathi Gachagua was right in saying why Macron was very happy, even after this contract was cancelled, denying French firms, this business. It's because they would rather, and I would also be happy to do that, they would rather receive the 7 billion Kenya shillings, having done nothing. Because how would you explain that Macron is not concerned that French companies lost business? And why? So I think when Ruto comes back, if you have time for that,
we'll make time for this discussion.
Then he would next time maybe he should tell us why we would cancel a contract worth 159 billion, take it to 200 billion, then pay 7 billion. But finally, he has said that he has talked about Kimwarel and Aror dams. We are not here. We are discussing the issues at hand and why Kenyans reacted that way. Why Rigathi Gachagua said what he said. It is because Kenyans have no faith in this government. And why? In the contracts that it makes. And why do they not have faith? It's because of what we have seen. We lost 104 billion. You are told it was going to pay for the SHA system. So there is a history that is making Kenyans not trust the contract that the government is getting into. So I wish he would allow me to finish because I did not interrupt him. So we are saying, Fred, people will stop trusting you if you have a history of not being trustworthy.
Right.
So that's why Kenyans are behaving like this.
And I don't want us to discuss, to go deep in discussing that, but it's posed a challenge.
Not to leave what my good friend is saying here, trying to disinform Kenyans. Number one, he's a senator, and he sits in the House of the Senate, where health is a devolved function. But this thing of 104 billion has been said over and over. I'm here to see a proper report from the Senate or a statement sought by him and clarity being provided for Kenyans so that we stop being misleading Kenyans. Speaking on this issue of French farm and Mau Summit, remember this is not just any other tender. It was a PPP. And some of the PPP issue is a block things. You build up, the grounds until you get to a point of actualizing the implementation. So if at some point things could not move, because I remember the aspect of this thing started during the time of Uhuru Kenyatta. why it was stopped, because either way it was stopped, and it stole everything. So it is only this regime that has come to and to open up it again, so that the project now is being implemented as we talk right now. And like where somebody was saying, it was appear works are happening right from Mao Summit, because I used these words, works are happening. So it was a question of reorganizing this to happen. And one of it, because the terms and conditions, and if it could not work on the other one, was to part ways. Right. But as I said, some of these things that involves foreign engagement are watertight kind of engagement that at the point of pushing back, you must also bear the cost of it for the sake of the work to happen. Lastly, coming to it, when you say that you want to watch dirty linen because they were dirty, because they were what? I mean, we've lacked some sense of what you call
decorum?
Not even decorum, I say, the aspect of that nationalism in us. We oppose each other. You know, this is our democratic space. You are in power, I'm not in power. I'm trying to look for a way of punching you out because I want to come to power. But there's a broad cloth that is covering all of us called Kenya. In the sovereignty. It doesn't push us outside.
All right.
So whenever a friend or a neighbor is there, you go and speak out. Oh, unajua kwetu, hakuna tuchakula jana. Oh, kwetu mama na nani walifurutana jana masikio. And you are telling neighbors, do you expect them to come and tell mama na baba wanalala kwa kitanda tofauti? Do you come and expect them to come and put your mother and your father and wife to be in the same bed? I mean, that's what we are saying. Please, for some sense, let us come back to our sense and deal with our issues here and here. Because the other guy, whatever happened, is not after him. What we should be looking at this one. And we should be looking at this one because our economy in Kenya, we don't export minerals.
Okay.
But we are looking for opportunities to open up a new frontiers on what we have, like tea, like coffee. Remember, for far too long after independence, Africa, we have more than 50 countries that we are not benefiting from each other because of language barrier, because of...
and I want us to move on to the other discussion because...
so that's what I'm saying. As we close this one, let us also look at the positive aspect of connecting the east part of Africa, the English part of Africa, to the French part of Africa, so that we can trade together and pull our economy.
And the Africa Forward Summit came to an end yesterday. The kind of reactions we've witnessed, how the relationship is working collectively as African leaders towards France, the kind of criticism that was being directed towards the summit, and the biggest talking points of the same. That has been the discussion this morning. And now, just because the summit has ended, I beg us to move on to something else that's happening. And beginning today, the National Assembly has invited Kenyans to take part in hearings on the budget estimates 2026-2027 for the next 3 days, starting today up until Friday. Meanwhile, the same assembly has invited Kenyans to discuss the finance bill and share their memoranda before the National Assembly for the next, at least we're given a 2-week window, which lapses on the 25th of this month. That is where I want us to go to. And now that we have a member of the Committee on Finance and National Planning of the National Assembly, we'll just start with you. We've seen the kind of the level of discourse around the budget-making process, the finance bill that we've had over the past 2 years. 2024 was perhaps the loudest. Many people came out to discuss about the budget, the finance bill, and some even broke it down into vernacular to help other Kenyans understand. As a member of the Finance Committee, do you feel that the interaction with the budget-making process this year has been that robust? And if not, why is it not as robust?
Thank you so much. First of all, it's good to bring out to Kenyans that the National Assembly and also the Senate, I think we are in discussion of a public participation bill, because we've been lacking clear framework on engaging on public participation, putting up some measures that you're able to put up a discussion, an agenda for public, and a follow-up to the latter. And I think this one is going to help us so much in identifying the clear structures of engaging. But I want to say that Finance Bill 2024 was an eye-opener on how we engage public, especially from our National Assembly. But even beside that, I've just seen from the papers and heard the National Treasury are conducting another public participation on review of Kenya National Bureau of Statistics Act, establishing an authority. They are on the course now. I've also seen the National Treasury are publishing, also engaging citizens on the finance bill on their own. I think we are alive that the Constitution of Kenya has elevated our level of engagement. And with the kind of increase in the capacity of citizens to understand what is happening is now driving this engagement. The ruling in Kisumu during the affordable housing bill, where it stated that the public engagement should be relevant, sufficient, you know, and relevance in the sense that the content and should also be adequate in terms of coverage. And that's why it has caused budget and appropriation has to move out of Nairobi. Finance committee will have to move out of Nairobi. We are planning to move to more than 15 counties. Recently, when we were doing Safaricom divestiture, we did almost 30 counties. And this one has activated the public outside Nairobi. Initially, it used to be Nairobi people and professionals, stakeholders who would come. But right now, if you ask a Kenyan in Isiolo, will tell you, yes, we are waiting for public participation. These are issues we said last time. These are issues we are following. And to me, I think it's a progress. From where we were, I would appreciate it's a progress. It's also a learning gap for us. Remember, all our bills are printed in English. We've gone to ground and we found some problems where Kenyans in Mombasa, in Taita Taveta saying, you people are giving us English, we don't even understand this, then read to us and go. So we had now to make a popular version where you're putting a Kiswahili interpretation and English aspect of it. So I still find there are some words in Kiswahili doesn't come exactly as it is in the bill.
And the question is, are members of the public feeling this, the change, the progression in as far as the public participation is concerned?
For me now, looking at those changes that is happening, then it's a reaction from members of public. And then it shows they're engaging. Okay. Unlike before where they were not even aware.
All right.
Yes.
Because for the budget estimates, it's for the next 3 days, today, tomorrow, and Friday. Are you even aware that this is a time given for your participation in the public hearings in 16 counties on this budget estimates, even as you continue giving a memoranda on the finance bill? Our reporter, Modoni Brenda, is on the streets of Nairobi. She's also looking for sentiments and opinion, as well as comments on this same discussion we're having. Modoni, good morning once again. What are the people saying about the budget-making process and the time given for public participation?
A very good morning to you once again, Fred Indimuli and the honorable members in studio. I'm following the conversation and I'm very excited to see my home senator, Senator Joe Nyoto in studio. Maybe perhaps tukiendelea anaweza kutuambia mbona anaikanga emphasis hapo kwa jina Joe Nyoto. But currently in CBD, as you can see behind me, bunge la mwananchi is on. Wao wamesema hawataenda utawala mahali the public participation is happening. Habari yenu, excuse me, sijui kama mnaweza ni allow nipite katikati yenu. Ndio hiyo, bunge la mwananchi is on and they are discussing matters the finance bill. And I want to get to understand kama wao wanapanga mikakati ya kwenda utawala for the public participation. I think we are going to start with the select committee chair, Mr. Kira. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Brenda, and good morning, TV47 and Wakenya wote kwa jumla. Hamjambo.
Hatujambo. So Mr. Kira, leo kuna public participation ya finance bill pale utawala. Je, nyinyi kama watu wa bunge la mwananchi, are you purposing to attend?
That's a surprise to us.
Okay.
Because it has not been publicized that there is public participation. And the law provides that that should be. I'm gathering just this morning that that will specifically be done in Utawala. And yet after that, it is all gone. I'm just wondering how the government, the government, because the three arms of government, that is both the executive and the legislature, reached a point that public participation in Nairobi County, which is the capital city, is only held once, and it is in Utawala. I'm thinking, how does somebody get this information to travel from Kibra or from Kangemi all the way to that place?
Lakini unajua iko kwa magazeti. Imewekwa kwa magazeti.
Yes, but we're just waking up to this morning to realize that we also have our own arrangements and programs that have been there. So I think going forward, the government should look, and especially through the Legislative Assembly, which is charged with the responsibility of drawing our budget every year, they should be able to look at it and agree with us that if public participation cannot be achieved at the ward levels, then let's do the sub-county levels at the constituency levels. For instance, as Ambassador, Bunge la Mwananchi Ambassador, we would have been so glad if one was held here because we are members in Stare constituency. So I think that is a raw deal given to us. So even if they are going to do it, I think it is going to be shambolic. Yes. Yeah, it is not going to be representative of the common man. Yeah, because the common man need space to ventilate on the same. Yes.
All right, then let us talk to Mageuzi here. Mheshimiwa Mageuzi, yeye huwa mwalimu hapa bunge la mwananchi. And Mageuzi, I just want you to tell me, wewe unajua huu mswada umepiga msasa kabisa? Umepiga huu mswada msasa?
Bado tunaendelea kusoma. Naam.
So nataka uniambie, today in the public participation, ni sections gani za huu mswada ambao wewe na matarajio yako pole, Wakenya wengi wata have a problem na those clauses?
Jambo la kwanza, yafaa tuelewa kwamba kurejelea katiba yetu, sehemu ya 118 ibara ya 1b inasema kwamba bunge linastahili kutumia kuweka mikakati yote ile kuhusisha umma katika maandalizi ya miswada ambayo inahusiana na masuala ya fedha na bajeti. Na pia tunaporejelea sehemu ya katiba ya 20 sehemu ya 2b inasema kwamba umma ni kiungo muhimu tena nguzo kuu katika maandalizi ya bajeti ya taifa letu la Kenya. Kwa hivyo kushirikisha umma ni swala muhimu sana. Na vile ambavyo mwenzangu alivyosema pale, unapata kwamba sehemu ambayo imetengewa wananchi kwenda kutoa maoni yao, labda kama ingekuwa katikati ya jiji inawezesha kila mtu kufika. Lakini matarajio yetu, jambo la kwanza, Wakenya wanapoelekea kule, wale ambao wataweza kufika utawala kwa sababu wanataka kufika kule, waweze kutoa maoni yao, kurejelea baadhi ya masuala ambayo yamerejelewa katika mswada huu. Jambo la kwanza, utapata kwamba kuna swala ambalo tumezungumzia la 5% ambalo 5% ambayo ya ushuru ambayo inawekwa katika bidhaa za mitumba. Tulisema hapo awali ya kwamba jambo hili litaweza kuwaponza Wakenya kwa sababu wale ambao wanafanya biashara hiyo watakuwa na ugumu, alafu vile vile wakiwa na ugumu na wameajiri vile vile watu, watapunguza idadi ya wafanyakazi. Hilo ni jambo ambalo linaweza kuadhiri Wakenya kwa njia moja au nyingine.
Lakini waziri wa fedha amesema kwamba the 5% on tumba clothes itaondolewa.
Kile ambacho tunajua ni kwamba kila mara serikali huwa inatangaza alafu inaambia Wakenya kwamba wameondoa. Lakini na hakika kwamba swala hili tunaweza tukakubaliana nao tu baada ya kushirikisha umma kikamilifu, na kama sehemu hiyo imekamilishwa tutaona kama ni ukweli wameondoa ama hawajaondoa. Kwa sababu wanasema, kwa mfano Mbadi alikuwa ametueleza kwamba hata ule ushuru ambao alikuwa anataka kupunguzia wale ambao ni wafanyakazi alikuwa ametueleza, lakini kulingana na mswada ambao aliwasilisha bungeni tukapata kwamba masuala haya hakushirikisha. Kwa hivyo kusema na kutenda ni mawili tofauti. Kwa hivyo tunasubiri kwanza tuone kama umma utakuwa umeshirikishwa kikamilifu, ndipo sasa tutaweza kuona kwamba kwa kweli serikali imetekeleza vile ambavyo ilikuwa imesema. Jambo lingine la pili ni kodi ambayo wale ambao wanamiliki nyumba wanaongezewa. Wakiongezewa watasukuma hiyo kodi kwa Wakenya wa kawaida, kumaanisha kwamba kodi ya nyumba itafanya nini? Itapanda. Gharama ya maisha Mkenya haiwezi kupungua kama unapandisha kodi ya nyumba. Kwa hivyo litakuwa ni swala kubwa sana. Alafu jambo lingine ambalo nataka kuzungumzia pia ni kwamba serikali yenyewe inajua vizuri ya kwamba bajeti yetu ni shilingi trilioni 4.7. Lakini
ujue kwanza wakifanya bado ushirikishwaji wa finance bill, bado wanafanya ushirikishwaji wa the national budget estimates.
Ni sawa, lakini kile ambacho anasema ni kwamba kulingana na makadirio ya serikali, zile hela ambazo wana uhakika kwamba wataweza kupata kupitia ushuru ni trilioni 3.5 ama 6. Kumaanisha kwamba we have what we call domestic borrowing. Wanaenda kukopa pesa hapa nyumbani, na external borrowing. Kama bajeti yetu ni zile hela ambazo nimetaja, wanaenda kukopa nyumbani shilingi karibu trilioni 1, because they're talking about almost 995 billion shillings. Na hizi pesa zitatoka wapi? Wataenda kukopa katika benki za hapa za humu nchini. Kama benki zitakopesha serikali pesa kuliko kopesha wananchi, na riba itapanda juu. Riba inapopanda juu, nini kitafanyika? Mwananchi wa kawaida hawezi kuenda benki apatiwe hela aende aanzishe nini biashara. Benki afadhali ipatie serikali, kwa sababu serikali italipa na riba ya juu, na serikali ikijua bado mwananchi wa Kenya ndiye atalipa ushuru. Kwa hivyo hawezi kuwa unaokoa Mkenya kama riba ya benki itapanda juu na hawezi kukopa pesa aanzishe biashara. Naam.
Well, those are the reactions, Fred Indimuli, of members here at the Bunge la Mwananchi. Wanasema kwamba hawajashirikishwa kutosha, hawana ile awareness, hawakuwa wanajua, especially when we got here, tulikuwa tunawaambia, nyinyi, hata siku nadhani nitawapata, nilikuwa nadhani tutapatana utawala, but wanasema utawala ni mbali, alafu pia kuna hiyo fuel levy, wanasema hawana nauli ya kutoka hapa Nairobi hadi utawala. Turudi kwako studioni Indimuli.
Asante sana Mudhoni Brenda, kazi nzuri pale katikati mwa jiji la Nairobi. As she continues to sample some of the sentiments about the ongoing public participation for the next 3 days on the budget estimates and up until May 25th on the finance bill. Remember that the budget estimates have already been presented to the National Assembly as per the end of April. And yes, even the finance bill that will expound on how that revenue will be collected is also before the National Assembly. I know many people talk about the finance bill because that is what people talked about in 2024, but the budget estimates, many people are not even focusing on it. Many people are not even involved in some...
Even not aware that...
They're not even aware that
the driver of finance bill
yes,
expenditure side.
Exactly, and this is how the money will be spent. You can see the level of awareness that people on the streets...
It's massive.
Yes, people understand these things.
Yeah.
But when it comes to opportunities for their participation or for their opinions to actually be taken into account, that is lacking. You must agree with that, that it's not where it should be.
You cannot be far from the truth, but you know we have guidelines also. I think we have, as a country, we have made a big step after the 2010 Constitution. You know, this public participation has not been there before. But also in the Constitution, we have not had a threshold for public participation. And I think now we have a bill that is going to give direction on how long this public participation can be and to what level. But the kind of limit we have now, we know we also have a PFM Act that gives us direction on certain limitations on when they can be done and at what time. So until we change those sections, that is when now we'll give more time for the people to have a public participation. And I think I'm proud that last time it was done in my constituency, Kibra, for the first time. Mm-hmm. The CS for finance came to my constituency and we sat there for about 9 hours doing public participation. But now I think they are expanding it to other counties and also giving it more time. It means that as we are going, and when we change this bill and extend and give the timelines for public participation, I think we'll even have better opportunities in the budget process. And when you hear Kenyans talk, you can be amazed. You might think that is the CS of Treasury. Mm-hmm. As they talk, they have a lot of in-depth knowledge on what happens in the finance bill. I think we need to give Kenyans also more time to express themselves. However, we have it gazetted here. It has been gazetted. So anything that is gazetted, it is here.
It is here. I don't know where
it is here.
How else will one be able
to
receive information?
And you see, when this is done...
That's actually on the day list today.
Yeah, it is on the day list today.
Even the parliament, they put
and I think it is a big step for Kenyans to know, except that some people might not be aware. But when the government gazettes something, it means it is in the public domain. It is in the public knowledge. It is only the timelines that we need to repeal certain sections to give Kenyans more time.
Why is it taking so long for this bill on public participation to be processed? I think it's been... When was it tabled?
No, this
started in SIGNET, so it has now come to
Parliament,
to National Assembly.
National Assembly, and I think the way it is going, I think we are in the second reading or something. Yes. So I think it will be there very soon, and it is about creating awareness for Kenyans in all aspects of legislation that involve public participation. I want to congratulate you because even this one is real public participation. Kenyans are seeing what we are saying about public participation, about finance bill, and all your followers are getting aware of what is happening, and they can go out and give their views because as a media house, you are doing your duty well to enlighten Kenyan on what happens in budget processing and PBS and also now the finance bill.
Yes.
And I think Kenyans should be aware of all these processes so that they get involved more in budget processing.
And thank you for that compliment. Senator Nyoto, the feeling among the general public is that even when they take part in the public participation, even when they come out and express themselves, as they did in 2024 so robustly, that eventually the National Assembly will still find ways. For example, when the Finance Bill of 2024 was rejected, a lot of those provisions still found their way through other bills before the National Assembly. And the feeling out here is that, okay, fine, you might talk about public participation, but in the end, you'll just do what you want. Do you think that that has contributed to the kind of lethargy in taking part in such things?
Yes, but before I answer that question, Fred, allow me to say that it's my very strong feeling that if we want members of the public to participate in these public participation exercises, that we may need to, to create awareness of the same more. I may not have the percentages, but I think very few Kenyans actually buy and read newspapers. Mm-hmm. But an average Kenyan will watch TV today. Thank President Uhuru Kenyatta for, connectivity of electricity to many places in the countryside. Of course, there has also been efforts during this regime, but the massive, connectivity happened during President Kenyatta's time. So many Kenyans watch TV, many Kenyans listen to radio, even vernacular stations. Mm-hmm. And I think if we really wanted, if we have that goodwill, that we want Kenyans to participate fully in, in the management of the affairs of their country, not just with these budgetary process and provisions and what have you. It is a high time in my thinking, in my view, that we started making these adverts more on TV and on the radio, and in fact even cascaded down to public barazas, where people are called by the local chief, assistant chief, and they are told, you will be expected to express your views regarding, these proposals, in this budgetary, process of the budgetary process of this year. So I think we need to do more so that we reach more Kenyans. Of course, I know that in law, the law provides that once you put it into, into dailies that circulate nationally, that then it is considered, having gone to the public. But if we are genuine that we want them to participate.
Is it an issue of legislation because they've talked about bills, the PFM Act, that probably does not allow for more time for public participation? Do you think it's purely an issue of legislation?
Yes, but I think it's even not about time. If we have good structures, we may not need a lot of time. For me, the concern is not about time. For me, the concern is, do Kenyans get to know that this process is on, that they are expected to air their views regarding the foregoing. And not only that, how many areas, like your reporter is saying, Brenda is saying, that we have it in Utawala in Nairobi. Mm-hmm. Utawala is just the western side, the eastern side of Nairobi. So you can imagine that person in Honorable Rero's constituency in Kibra, somebody in Dagoretti North, Dagoretti South, expected to go all the way to Utawala. So I think we may need to even open up more avenues for people to be able to express their views. And I say this because, like for example, Fred, if we had that, goodwill, for example, every day Kenyans get to know what the president has said and where he was. Why? Because the president's public engagements, for example, are streamed live. Mm-hmm. And when you people make your news in the evening, of course you bring it there. Why don't we, all of us, and I'm not blaming any particular person in this, all of us, why don't we do that which we can be able to do, mm-hmm. to sensitize members of the public about these processes? But you asked me whether it's because even when Kenyans give their views, they are not, they are not incorporated into the final product, and that even in 2024, and it is true, and actually Kimani Ichung'wah, the majority leader, actually said that much later, after the Gen Z protests and what have you, of course there was a slip of the tongue, and he said that they had been able to bring back all the provisions through the back door. Of course, we have the supplementary budget and that kind of thing that does not elicit a lot of interest, you know. So I think we need to build public trust so that Kenyans trust the legislature and other arms of government, that when we give our views, they'll be taken into account, and the product that is going to come out of it will have considered and taken care of our views, because at the end of the day, Kenya is a democracy.
All right.
I need to correct two things here on this. Number one, it is wrong to say that National Assembly finds as its own way of moving what they want to move. I have been saying this over and over. It's good to appreciate the fact that bills in Parliament, both Senate and National Assembly, is carried on some stages. There is first reading, second reading, and third reading. Third reading is where we call Committee of the Whole House. If you listen keenly, during that time is where the relevant chairman or the majority leader moves amendments. Whenever you hear anything called amendment, remember the bills are originating from executive through AG, after cabinet, especially finance bill and budget and appropriation. It has some clauses before they are fully approved. Then you hear the chairman say, I beg to move an amendment to this particular clause. Those amendments are largely informed by the product of public participation. And I still insist and invite people to look at the chairman's report of finance bill of 2024. It had overhauled almost every provision that was in the original bill submitted by the National Treasury. Look at the issue of car tax, look at the issue of tax on sanitary towels, look at the issue of excise taxes on edible oil. Most of the things that Kenyans were concerned from public participation and say, look at this, should you levy this particular tax, it will increase our cost. Would you really bring out? And even the final report, which had been submitted to the president for assent, though later he refused to assent after the pressure, if you look at it, every painful part that Kenyans had said no had already been corrected. And the chairman of finance,
through the finance bill.
Yes.
But the question is, isn't it possible for the National Assembly through other bills or through what they call mother bills, because the finance bill could be considered like a bus carrying all the amendments towards revenue collection. But later in the year, when you're considering other bills, isn't it possible? And probably that's what the majority leader...
I'm coming there. That's what I'm saying. I need to correct two things.
That you can actually say,
I need to
reintroduce
I need to correct two things. Number one, I wanted to correct is that it is wrong to say that the National Assembly has its own way. Please give time National Assembly and follow processes of National Assembly. At the third reading, that's when you can now shout and say, you people are failing us. But if you give time the third reading, where amendments are made, is when the problems which had already been initiated somewhere else is corrected by the House of Representatives at the third reading. Number two, when Kimani Ichung'wah said, we managed to correct during the Business Laws Amendment Bill, the issue of allowable expenditures, which had already been captured in finance bill, but because of the agitations, remember the share deductions, affordable housing deductions, all of these initially were not allowables, but during finance bill it had been corrected. These things had to be introduced during the Business Laws Amendment, and they passed. And it was to the benefit of public. And the issues of tax amnesty.
No, but these are some things. The question is, these are the same things that had been rejected in the finance bill. In total.
That is it.
But they still, the National Assembly still managed to pass them later in the year.
The objective limit, the cry here, listen Fred, the cry here was disposable income. And we wanted to correct it. And it's the duty of the National Assembly to correct it. So since it was amorphous during the finance bill, now it was identified and picked up on specific income tax during the business laws, so that you're able to give more disposable income.
So it is possible.
Public. So it was correct. I mean, what is the work of Parliament?
Okay.
No, after 6 months, the law says when a bill fails, after 6 months, it has to be corrected.
The feeling by the general public is, yes, I'll give my participation. We might even force the finance bill to be rejected, and then the same proposals that we had rejected through our public participation could still be reintroduced.
And it has to come through public participation also.
And passed again.
And it's subject to public participation under Article 118. The question is this: what were the product of that. The whole issue was, since the other one was among us, it failed altogether.
But there's an issue of time here, Bwana Orero, because Kenyans will not constantly...
So what is
they may not constantly...
And then what is Ogo Parliament?
They may not constantly pay attention to all the debates in Parliament throughout the year.
I may not get time. The aspect of timelines. You see, Constitution of Kenya, public finance has given timelines on fiscal instruments. When the time of budget policy statement, the time of budget estimates, the time of ADBs for county government, budget circular, what we are introducing now under public participation is something that was not envisaged during this time of establishing this. That's why we are saying, with this coming up, it is something that we need to look at either now to see how to fix from 30th August when the budget circular starts and it closes in 30th June. We only have 2 months of July and August. And lastly, the issues of cassettes, bringing to the members of public. The law says every notice has to take 7 days. If you only invite Kenyans always, but I know because of our changing character, we nowadays go on social media, TikTok,
and read the same newspapers.
We are doing it, and in fact, even the same document is uploaded on website and inviting people, even on newspapers. I don't know now, maybe we also need to capture on TikTok because that's where most Kenyans are. But now to say this, for sure, for sometimes to say we are not aware, what other instruments do you use?
I'll not forget this question. Yes, so I take part in the public participation during this budget making process over the next 3 days or over the next 1 week or so on the finance bill. Then we say we don't want that and it's rejected or removed from the initial proposal. Then 6 months later, as you are discussing business laws amendment or something else, the same proposal is reintroduced. Are we saying that the level of participation then could equal the level of participation when the budget making process is at its peak? Don't you think that is unfair to Kenyans? The same National Assembly reintroducing things that had been rejected initially.
I think those statements are at variance. You know, this public participation, people look at the weight of public participation and also the interest of Kenyans first. And maybe the originator of the finance bill, it comes from the executive. Those are the originator. Then we look at it as parliament and various committees in parliament. And we cannot collectively say that all the clauses maybe that were deleted, removed, maybe are reintroduced. No, maybe you will find at certain levels, depending that time on the feelings of Kenyans. Sometimes you might find them finding themselves back after another public participation.
Isn't that cheeky?
So
from the National Assembly that they would do that?
Not really.
We are saying the level of public participation.
What is the mandate of National Assembly?
You know, as representatives of the people, we look at the cost-benefit analysis and also the interests of the people. You might find that what we introduce in the National Assembly now is even better than what was there originally. Because now this is a consensus of members of parliament in relation to the interests of the people that they represent. So sometimes it might serve the people of this country. I'm not saying that sometimes it might not, but depending on how we look at it. But I would say that I am one of those people who voted against the 2024 finance bill, because I also thought that the interests of the Kenyans were not captured.
Like the housing levy.
The housing levy and all that.
Affordable, the SHA as well.
But
which still came to pass.
But you see, there are sections.
Different.
No, it's very different. Very
housing
different.
Bill
Housing different.
Yes.
You know, they were not
in the finance bill. The housing levy was there.
So the only thing what was done was to correct the levy from to be subject to be deductible.
Isn't that the same
before
thing
you
you're talking
tax.
about?
Before taxation.
It's not the same thing. Remember, pay as you want was done on cross before this one was captured. So what finance bill was correcting is to remove
the general feeling that we did not need any of that.
The only good thing is that we have a technocrat that is taking us through the paces. You know, sometimes wholesome criticism and wholesome objectivity sometimes is not realized. But now that we are sitting as a panel here, we can have a synchronized...
Like me here.
Like he's
You're
here.
to own a certified public accountant.
We have a synchronized way of dealing with the things. But I'm saying...
is the level of understanding of a Kenyan.
Yeah.
That I did not want the housing levy, for example.
Yes.
And it was rejected in the finance bill. Yeah. But 2 years later, it is a reality.
It is good.
You see,
Fred, don't mislead. Fred, please, for
one,
don't mislead. And I am happy that you are here and you've been following this one. Separate the issue of health bills, which brought about the share. Separate the issue of housing bill, which brought about the levy. Separate the issue of finance bill, which was speaking about the taxes. Taxes and levies are two different things.
So it was just changed from
So
tax
what
to
happens
levy?
in finance bill was to correct the introduction of levy, which had a problem when subjecting your earnings to pay as you want. Initially, there was no provision to reduce, to deduct them before you arrive at taxable income for your disposable income. So to enhance the growth of your taxable income, because already a levy had been done, which is also a mode of a tax. So the correction was, before you tax pay as you want, remove share, remove affordable housing, so that you reduce the taxable income, and in the long run, enhance your disposable income. It was for good for the interest of Kenyans.
Do you get what I'm saying? And the kind of feeling that a normal Kenyan would have, that even if I came and told you that I don't want this, you would still, as a National Assembly, find a way of putting it in a different bill and it goes through.
Yes, I agree with you 100%, Fred. You know, if government wants to introduce or to do some mischief with a bill, it will. How will it? And you know, Honorable Ruto has told you that third reading, that is where we introduce amendments. So these amendments, when they are brought, of course, people vote for or against them. So what happens during a vote in either of the houses, Fred? It's about the numbers. Who has the numbers today? It is the government. Because I mean, that Kenya Kwanza, you know, the
Kenya Kwanza where you came in through, my friend.
That particular...
Do not make Kenya Kwanza like that.
I think
yes,
Ruto
has
been a very well-mannered politician and debater, but he's losing manners. But I know where he's speaking. I know where he's speaking the bad manners from. You know, he supports somebody. He supports somebody who doesn't think that other people have brains. So that's why now, you know, an initially very good legislator, very sober, is now, you know. So
that is
what I'm saying is...
on character assassination, they are very good at that.
Yes, I mean,
Senator,
he has come back. So
prosecute your point, because we are just about to take a break.
So what I'm saying is, it is possible for government to introduce mischief, and I've explained why. Because it has numbers. So even if those that are opposed to a particular amendment, vote against it, it will still pass, because government has numbers. And that is, that is not something for me even to explain, because everybody knows, of course, when ODM was finally brought on board, the numbers, of course. So President Ruto can get his way in Parliament, either of the houses. And so it is possible to introduce this mischief and vote for it, and even reject what Kenyans had, given as views, because so many views are ignored, by the way. Remember, even as Honorable Ruto here wants to tell you that the views of Kenyans during public participation are incorporated into what we call amendments. Remember, we have millions of Kenyans, but only a few amendments will be made. So there are so many that are thrown out. Some of us have also given our views, even relating to other things, and we did not see them getting captured, even at our position. So you can imagine there are so many Kenyans who will give views, and their views will not make it to the table where the amendments are being crafted and presented to Parliament, and where they want to even actually reject that something that Kenyans said, they will just omit it. And if, it fits them, amend accordingly. So it is possible, and then vote for it.
All right.
Yes.
Maybe I'd cut you short, Bwana Orero, just because we only have a few seconds before we take a break. If you may want to prosecute anything you hadn't, because I remember I cut you short.
Yeah, because, these guys, You know, they were both in Kenya Kwanza. Yes. And they want to wash.
Well, actually, the only one on the other side.
They want to wash their dirty linen.
I have no, mine is not dirty at all. Our side has no dirty. It's Ruto that has dirty linen.
Yeah. What we are saying is that as a country now, we need to engage Kenyans more in future in public participation. We need to have a threshold on how long the public participation and even the numbers. But of course, you know, as a country, it might not be easy to engage people from sub-county to county. We also need to look at the cost-benefit analysis. Sometimes when we broaden some of these things, it must be very, very costly to do this public participation. And again, sometimes all our views might not be taken into consideration, depending on whether it is progressive or not progressive. And we must accept that the technocrats now that now drafts this into bills have the latitude and the leeway to look at the progressive sentiments, so that it is a representation of the thinking of Kenyans at certain level. So we may not feel bad that you can bring an amendment that does not appear in the bill, because the Kenyans, we have millions of Kenyans, and not all of them can be included in that bill. But so long as that it is a progressive inclusion, we should be able to accept that this is a representation of Kenyans.
All right. So on the finance bill, yes, the budget estimates, the public participation starts today in different areas for the next 3 days, and then the finance bill, at least you have leeway, a window to present your memoranda to the National Assembly before the 25th of this month. Let's take a break. When we come back, we talk about politics. I'll give you an opportunity then to finalize on this. Yes, because the by-elections in Emuru Dikir will be happening tomorrow. Meanwhile, by-elections in Olkalau come later in July, but there's a lot of discussion there. DCP has a candidate. Jubilee has a candidate as well. Now, what happens in that instant? That is what we'll be covering after the break.
Take the day in a way.
You're watching TV47 Breakfast.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning. You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunywa maji.
Oh my God. He left me. Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna Wi-Fi.
Why? Hi-Fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tangulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
You won't entertain divas. No. I'm not dealing with a man-child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
Nice.
All right. right, welcome back. This is TV47 Breakfast with me, Fred Indimuli. We are getting into the final leg of this discussion, State of the Nation, the big headlines. We've just been talking about the finance bill and budget estimates and the public participation window that has now been opened on both fronts. But we need to move to politics, but Bwana Ruto insists there's something he needs to say briefly.
Okay, thank you. Fred Indimuli and my colleagues here. I think my Committee of Finance is one of the committees that is a subject of public participation in all the bills that they do. I participated in several, but there are some few things I picked up. Despite the fact that notice is given 7 days required by the law, and the Ministry of Coordination are being taken into task to prepare and disseminate information even before the D-Day, using the chiefs to invite people. But when you look at during the discussion, the kind of the people they come in, they will always present issues that are totally irrelevant. I went to another county and they were saying, okay, fine, what you are presenting is good, but because we are not agreeing with the current regime, we don't want to approve this one, so that next regime we are going, later can be implemented. So look at that information. You don't come with the right relevant information that can influence the outcome of this. Lastly, is the way the information is disseminated. Most of these, we are serving in an era of misinformation and disinformation. Finance Bill of 2024 was purely a product of, the criticism was purely as a question of disinformation, because the issue of land tax was not there. But remember, it was coming out saying that your land should be taxed, and people were taken so emotional. The issue of sanitary pads was not an aspect of saying that it's going to stop them from, because remember, we are trying to create an opportunity for Kenyans who can manufacture. Okay. So what am I calling? The proponents need also to divine mechanism of selling in the right information, so that to dissuade disinformation and misinformation. We end up losing the best just out of disinformation and misinformation because of political persuasion.
And probably public participation will provide an avenue for better disseminating that information. All right, so we are done with matters public participation. We want to go into politics. The two headlines that are political today is this one, The Star. Fight for ODM bases as Oburu and Sifuna stage rival rallies. That's happening at the end of this month in the Lake region.
Oburu is back. I thought they were saying...
Oh, yes, indeed, he's back. ODM kujipima nguvu bila Raila. Gazeti la pili linazungumzia ODM. So tunaanza na Bwana Orero. But before we do that, let's listen to the CS Treasury. He was a former chairman of the ODM party, CS John Badi, on what he said about the ODM party recently and some people who believe they should have a say or not.
Belong to a family. You know, we have a party where someone, because she's sister of a party leader, she thinks she can also order us around. You cannot. We have supported this party. I know Baba has been a very solid leader. We must now manage the transition. Baba is no more. This is post-Raila era. We must be candid, we must be forthright, and we must chart our way forward. You cannot keep us back. Baba said this. Baba did not say this. Where is that Baba now to give us the evidence whether he said or he did not say?
Where? That's all we can say. Bwana Orero, has it gotten there? That tone. That's a kind of relationship that's now existing between high-ranking members of the ODM party, that you can tell each other off publicly with that tone. Someone would have expected such a discussion to happen behind closed doors, probably. Is that where the crisis has brought your party to?
I don't think it's a crisis. I was in that meeting. Of course, I'm one of those loyal ODM members who attends all the ODM meetings. I was in that meeting, and I think it was a closed door meeting. So those
cameras would not have captured that.
Those are mischievous. We did that under closed door. It was kind of a parliamentary group meeting with the CSS to try and sort ourselves internally, and also talk with each other, and see how we can
This was not meant for the public, was it?
No, it was not open to the public. That is a fault. It was a closed door meeting, by the way. So this is some of the mischievous people who took this maybe a fault. But it was a closed door meeting to try and iron out the nitty-gritties within the party and try to see how we can transit into the next
Either way, now we know about the kind of discussions you're having behind closed doors.
So I think the personality of the CS and normally how he speaks, I think you all know the personality of the CS, that when he speaks, you might take him out of context. But I know we have had, after that, we have had other meetings to try and even bridge the gap more in closed-door meetings. And it is not going to tear party apart. And what we are saying is that we are consolidating our basis as ODM political party. We are trying to reach out to all the people in our strong basis so that we have a very united ODM that can transit itself into power in the coming election. So I think these are some of the measures that our party is trying to do so that we have together. After that, it was in Mombasa. After that, we have had meetings in Nairobi. We have also had meetings in other regions in closed door, and they have not come out. I think in this Mombasa is where some mischievous person tried to bring
in the same meeting
out.
in Mombasa, there was a point, at least one of the deputy party leaders appeared to extend an olive branch to the other side, the Linda Mwananchi faction, or those people considered rebels. But I'm seeing on the front page of the Star that there's a fight between those two factions for the ODM basis. That now the two, Linda Ground, Linda Mwananchi, will have parallel rallies in the Lake region on the same day?
Is it really a fight? I think each party, each person will try to show their might. As ODM political party, we are going to have, the party is going to have a rally in Kisumu.
Which is the party? Both of them claim to be ODM.
Of course, you know the party, what I'm talking about, the party. The other perception is just a fragmentation of a few. But our party, which is ODM, led by Dr. Oginga Oburu, you know, I am a member of parliament from Raila's bedroom, and I stay where I was left until otherwise. But we are saying that calling those people to come back is not a mistake. They are still members of ODM. They are registered as ODM members. What makes them not to come back? You know, our party is not to expel people. Our party is a party that wants everybody on board. Right. Unless you want to, we have friends. Babu is my friend. I have asked him to come and join us. If he wants to run as a governor in Nairobi, the ODM is open.
We will support him.
We will support him. If he comes back, we have no personal grudge on anybody. Even Sifuna, he can come back and be a one unit. But you see, it reaches a level that when somebody has decided on his fate, sometimes you can do very little on bringing back. It depends on somebody's perception, imagination, and goals of what he wants in politics.
And very briefly, I'd like to give the other two gentlemen to comment on what we've seen, because I'm sure even within DCP ranks, there must be some fiery meetings where emotions run high. But what does that signify, what you saw, the CS, if at all it was meant to be a closed-door meeting?
Then you allow me to first clarify, Fred, that in DCP, we do not have such fiery moments because the leadership in DCP is not in dispute. The party leader is Rigathi Gachagua, and nobody is disputing that because he became a party leader in the right way, you know? So I think it's different from...
You've done elections.
From ODM.
I will not repeat again. I wanted to put that back.
From ODM, you know, Orero is picking bad manners now from Ruto. You know, in ODM, because if he says elections, I don't think Baba was elected by anybody to be party leader of ODM because he was a founder. Party leader. The same is happening with Rigathi Gachagua. He's a founder party leader, so we don't need any election in DCP to determine whom the party leader is, because you know the problem that we have with unless you choose not to listen to the Sifuna side and what they are saying is the reason for them not being there. I think the problem is that how Oburu Odinga became party leader for Linda Mwananchi is actually questionable. So I wanted to clarify that in DCP we do not have such fiery movement. Our party leader is Rigathi Gachagua, and nobody disputes that. And he's a very sober leader who listens to people and takes and considers all the views that we give. But however, now coming to you'll get your movement.
Allow him. It's about ODM.
You know,
say something, Senator.
Talking about what the CS said, allow me just.
I think so that you continue. Go ahead.
You'll come in.
Go ahead, Senator. I want to hear what he says.
You see, the attack.
Senator, please, briefly, because I want to talk about it.
Okay. I just wanted to tell him that we have organs in ODM. Sifuna, when he came, he was proposed through Central Committee and ratified by NEC and worked for 2 years.
Okay.
So the same way Oburu was brought is the same way Sifuna was brought.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and thank you. I would want to tell Honorable Orero, I have no position on this. I have not said that Linda Mwananchi is right in its argument or Linda Ground is right. I just said what I think is causing this noise between the two, because I mean, the Sifuna side has a different feeling and that kind of thing. So I'm not taking a side.
And I would still want to talk about the by-elections.
I'm not actually even interested
briefly,
because I'm not a member of that party, and I may never be a member of that party.
So
the attack on Ruth Odinga, because she's the one that Buddy was referring to, for me was completely unnecessary and unwarranted. Because if Ruth Odinga, according to what Buddy is saying, has been saying that this is what Baba said, this is what Baba said, it is not only Ruth Odinga who is saying what Baba said. So many people say what Baba said. In fact, even Bandi himself has his own record as having said, this is what Baba told me, this is what Baba told me. So I think it was unwarranted. But I'll tell you, Fred, why there is this problem with ODM. It's not even about the organs. It's not even about the process that made the party leader. It's about President Ruto's re-election. And that is where ODM, it doesn't matter what they tell you, that is where the division in ODM is coming. The basic thing, Fred, is those who support Ruto's re-election in ODM and those who do not support Ruto's re-election in ODM. And the one who is orchestrating this division is none other than President Ruto himself. And I'll tell you why. Please give me a minute. And I'll tell you why.
I want us to talk about the by-election.
It's because he threatened Sifuna with, disciplinary measures being taken against him during a funeral of Baba's bodyguard, because he will not take anything other than somebody who supports his. But you see, the other thing that Bandi said is that people who are bolted away cannot come back. According to Bandi, if you play that clip again, according to Bandi, I mean, people like Sifuna should not be persuaded or welcomed back. People like Orengo, because they have declared themselves as party leader, that Sifuna has said he cannot be Secretary General of Oburu. For him, and Orero has departed from that, for him, those are rebels and they should be let.
Allow Wanarudo to talk about briefly on ODM, because I want us to talk about the by-election.
I may not speak much about ODM. Remember, it's an independent party. But from our point of view of Kenya Kwanza, first of all, we want to pray for them that they are able to sort out their difference amicably. And you'll always appreciate Baba has left, like the way Mbadi is saying from that stall clip that we've seen here, he has left. And like any other family, that the parents, the mortality part, you would expect our children will reorganize themselves because of who will be there. So to me, I don't find it a big thing, unique. They have to settle. And remember, there are small children like Sifuna who are very ambitious. Sifuna feels now with the young generation that are coming in with GNC, he wants to say it's the moment of becoming the leader of the leaderless, So what do you expect of that? And for you to be there, he would not appreciate that there are elderly people like Mwalimu Orero who would still want to say, please, let's still go pole until we are able to get Baba's mind and get a new mind. What we just praying for them is that they be able to sort out. Our prayers is to have partners like them. They're already helping us in broad-based, and you see we are progress, and we expect to form a coalition. And remember, even DCP there on the other side, they are struggling to create a coalition, like the way Kenya Kwanza will be struggling to create a coalition with like-minded parties. But nonetheless, to say, the issue of appreciating independence of opinion is there. It has been there. To say that William Ruto is killing ODM is totally wrong. In any case, Ruto has only attended the pioneers meeting in Mombasa because he was among the pioneers of ODM. And we want to give accolade to ODM. The longest serving party is ODM. That in any case, we are praying for them that this thing should not be broken, because we also believe that the party policies and positions should be respected, because we've seen changes on parties because of political difference and creating a vehicle to get power. We want to emulate ODM, and as we pray for them. But we cannot wish away William Ruto. Remember, he's the founder. You cannot wish away William Ruto. He's among the pioneers of ODM. And therefore, for my good friend to say...
You've just gone back on your...
He's the cause of trouble.
All right.
Has nothing. And he made... And by statements during a burial, that for you, it was a humor. But now, picking on those... If we are going to pick on what DStv are saying and the party leader every now and then, up to the one he says...
We only have 9 minutes.
In by-election, because we're about to talk to by-election, in by-election in Embu, that if UDA will win, William Ruto will come on top of the chopper and pee on new people. I mean, if we have to pick by statement like that one, surely. Would you go anywhere?
Okay.
So sometimes...
I'm not even had that one. But let's go to the by-elections now.
He's already doing it.
There's a big one.
He's already peeing.
There's a big one. Emuru Adikiri comes up tomorrow. And it's a big one even for President William Ruto.
Yeah, sure.
He cannot afford at this point to even feel pressure from any other party in the Rift Valley. Yet there are sentiments that at least a DCP party is making inroads in that area. Do you feel the pressure, or what do you expect tomorrow?
Did you saw us going there in full entourage and forced to go and campaign? Did you see elected leaders going there? Did you see the deputy president? Did you see the president going there?
That's how confident.
The ground is settled, and we know that it is UDA to win. What was happening is that DCP are trying to bring up, to position themselves. That's why they pumped all the pressure and resources into that to position themselves, and by virtue of trying to penetrate what is perceived to be a backyard of the current president. So it is something that was acceptable. Just wait for the outcome after tomorrow. Or the winner, the candidate will win by landslide, because there is a silent majority. Of course, what came out on all of us to learn about Dikiri is the aspect of women in campaigning. That's the only thing that we want to pick from it, and it's so positive. We saw women were coming in to push in, especially at night after they cook for their children, and they come in to say, we want to participate on our issues, this is our issue, this and this, and this to be called. And I also believe a very sound government is able to pick on those issues in their program.
Do you think the kind of influence that DCP claims it has in Narok, which is neighboring places like Emuru Dikir, could be a threat in it?
Of course, with democracy, I would still give them accolade. They should not also remain in Narok. They should come to Bomet, come to Wasingishu, come to everywhere, go to Western. And the aspect of competition, contest is that one. You move and you position yourself, so that in the long run, when you have the winner deserves.
And you're confident.
And we are confident, of course, on our side. So, Emuru Adikiri, please relax. We have no problem. The winner is UDA, because we know we have. Otherwise, if there were real issues, you would have seen all of us going there. Yes,
including the president.
Even us alone. If you'd have counted the number of members of parliament on UDA going there, it would have shown you there is a risk. Because there was no minimal risk. Unlike you'll see us going to Olkalau.
I don't want you.
We have to we have to take that seat by all means.
And Orero, allow me to skip you on this because Olkalau is proving to be something else even for the united opposition, if I may call it that. Yesterday, Jubilee unveiled a candidate for that. Only days after DCP party done the same. Why is that? What does this mean?
Allow me to first, and I'm going to answer that question very quickly. Allow me to correct Ruto. ODM is not the oldest party, serving party. The oldest party is KANU. So it's important that he gets to remember that. And he says that...
KANU still existing.
And he...
Vibrant.
Honorable, yes. Please.
Okay.
He says that President Ruto and his, his brigade have not been to Emuru Dikir because they don't think that they are under threat. And so has Rigathi Gachagua, who has a strong candidate there. He has not been to Emuru Dikir, and he's not going to go there. We have not been there. He has not sent anybody there. So actually what's happening is that, Kenya Kwanza is really trying to learn good manners because it has no good manners. It is trying to learn politics from Rigathi Gachagua. That's why when we don't go, they also don't go. I mean, because, for example, if you look at all Kalau, which I'm coming to, the nominations that we carried out were foolproof. And Kenya Kwanza, led by William Ruto, can only wish that they can be able to do that, but they cannot because they are not democratic. So he says that, Ruto says that we should also go to other places. He has said Narok and what have you. I just want to ask him, if he gets an opportunity to talk to President Ruto, to ask him to allow us to move freely in this country and not to interfere with us. Nobody doesn't know what happened in Narok. Nobody doesn't know what happened in Narok. Nobody doesn't know what happened in Narok. Next time I come here with Ruto and he keeps interrupting me, I'm going to leave him here to do the debate alone.
I'm waiting to
when we went to Narok, when there was a by-election, a ward by-election, the violence that was visited on Rigathi Gachagua and his co-principals. So we ask that President Ruto, and if this Ruto here can reach him, tell him to allow us to be, not to use the police to tear gas and shoot at us, and we will move. We have never interfered with these meetings in our place. People don't like him there, but we tell them, just go listen, take the money that he has brought, but please don't sell your souls. So I wish they could allow us to do the same. Now, coming to All Kalau, you say that Jubilee has introduced a candidate. They unveiled a candidate yesterday. Yes, we are a democratic. DCP means Democracy for the Citizens Party.
You did not do that in Mbere?
No.
For the same reasons we're talking about.
That time, and I can tell you, and I don't speak, I'm not the official spokesperson of DCP, and I can tell you it was a mistake that we made, and only fools don't learn. So we are saying, let Jubilee come. And let the candidate of Jubilee come and try to convince the people in Nyandarua. And Jubilee has a right because, the Honorable Kiaraho, the late Honorable Kiaraho, was a Jubilee member. So we couldn't, of course, now tell them not to field a candidate. So let them field a candidate. Because we know that Fred, and I'm speaking to you, on a public platform, on a live TV, the DCP is going to sweep all Kalau, even if you don't even go there for campaigns. And you don't even need any other evidence. You just need to look at the turnout of nominations.
Won't this cause any strain in the United Opposition, having two parties go for a contest like this?
No,
a heated one at that.
It won't. First of all, even, but let me not say that. First of all, that's a DCP, zone, and you even saw, during the burial ceremony, everybody knows who was calling the shots there. There were just two sides. There was DCP and there was, of course, President Ruto with, I don't know whether he's actually UDA or Kenya Kwanza or blood-based or bread-based, but there was President Ruto's outfit and yes, and
Bonorero, you'll have the final for the sake of peace.
So Fred, the competition there, in fact, there is no competition. So that is something that you're let Jubilee, even if Wiper wants to bring a candidate, we are okay.
All right.
We have no worries about all Kalau.
Bonorero.
And Emurwa Dikir, just wait and see.
That one is coming tomorrow. We'll be here to see. Bonorero, final word on this.
On the elections?
On the show, on everything, yes.
Okay. I think it has been a very, very eye-opener to Kenyans, especially on what we have discussed about finance bill, public participation, and also awareness, and our ties with the foreign countries. But I want to say that the politics of this country, I think we have reached a level that democracy is taking root, as you can see, that people are allowed, like now, before, DCP would not have a candidate in the decade. And now, because of democratic space, they are able to have their candidates freely. And we are hoping that tomorrow the best candidate will win. We just want to urge Kenyans that we maintain peace during these by-elections, because after all, Kenya is for all of us.
Yes.
And we must, as Kenyans, always do what is necessary, that we maintain peace and a conducive environment for the operations of all things in this country, despite the political differences that we may have. But I want to say that ODM is strong. We are not competing. We are saying that as ODM political party, the strongest and most vibrant political party, we are there to serve Kenyans, and our manifesto still remains, and our pillars, or that forms our party, still remains. And we will have a big rally on 31st in Kisumu City as the ODM political party.
Maybe a bite.
Yeah,
we are totally out of time.
There's one thing, Fred, that we have to appreciate, and I want to give accolades to UDA for being the frontliner in exercising party democracies. Now we've seen in Olkalau, DStv are conducting party nominations unlike before, and I've seen other parties saying that we need zoning. I think the time of zoning is over. Allow citizens to choose their own preferred black farers.
And Orero is looking at you on that.
Yeah, that's right, and I want to appreciate DStv are following that one. Orero, I know Orero has always been coming through the process of nomination.
Yes.
So likewise with any other party, it's a call for them. Please allow party owners, members of party, to choose their black farers so that they can compete on behalf of the party without undue influence or without duress.
Julius Ruto, MP Keses, Peter Orero, MP Kibra, and Joe Nyoto, Senator Muranga, our very vibrant panelists this morning on State of the Nation. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time here and for your contributions to the issues that we've been discussing today. After the break, are gender expectations killing love? That's a question we'll be asking here. And I will be having a big panel of young Kenyans together with a councillor. Anne Odida will be handling that discussion. Thank you so much for keeping us watching. And on issues of love, I don't know if I should ask this question to gender expectations affecting these things in 2026.
I think we are having a population, a generation that we cannot even understand.
Yes.
But the truth remains that, well, we've had empowerment of gender on either way. And it's also giving some distortion on how it was traditionally, especially as Africans. I think it's something we need to look at the values of African practices and modernize to now so that we protect families. Because expectation becomes a problem.
Yes.
Boy jail, girl jail are almost equal, but no one is ready now to bear the burden.
But should it be that we should insist on going back to what has been, Bonorero?
Not necessarily, but we need to bring together this. We must look at, history. The past determines the future. So when we bring this together, then maybe we'll have a society that is tolerant with each other. And this, what happens, most of this is about the TikTok, about the social media. Now I can get a friend on TikTok. I don't know the character. I only know the face. You meet for the first time, then you kill each other.
And everything is distorted.
And yeah, so I think we need, the society must go back to the tenets of culture.
Okay, going back. Senator, gender expectations and the current love relationship.
Gender or
expectations.
Gender or agenda?
Gender expectations.
Yeah, I think, we are dealing with especially a more empowered girl child. And I think that is why now you may not be able to compare today's relationships, even courtship, even the art of seduction with, like 30 or so years ago. I mean, things are very different because today we have a more empowered girl child, and you cannot also, of course, again, remove the issue of IT. I mean, like Honorable Orero is saying, so that now, young people can see what is happening out there. They can, and it influences and impacts on their behavior here. But basically, we are coming from a situation where the man was, more empowered than the woman, and I don't know whether we have trained our young men enough to deal with a more empowered, young lady. So
okay.
I think the man remains to be the superior provider.
Oh, does he?
Because they say what a woman hands belongs to a woman
in our culture,
and what a man hands belongs to all of us.
That's a conversation we're having after the break. Are gender expectations killing love? Well, my name is Fred Indimuli. Good morning.
Sundays